Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Abby and I like to talk about spooky things. In today's video, I'm going to be showing you 38 terrifying TikToks. Now before we get started, I made a post about this on my wall, but in case you guys didn't see it, last week's video that I posted on Sunday, the 6th of July, I think, for some reason had an age restriction put on it and I appealed and they rejected it. So the video requires everyone to be 18 plus to watch, which I'd say like 98% of you are, but because of that you have to be signed in to your account to view it. So if you haven't seen that video and it hasn't popped up on your recommendations, try signing in and then you will be able to view it. It is really annoying and I wish that didn't happen. I don't know why that happened and I hope it does not continue happening because that's really frustrating. If you guys like this video, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up. Click the subscribe button down below if you haven't already, and turn my post notifications so you never miss a video. I post every Sunday and most Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 4 p.m. Central Time. Please check out my Instagram and TikTok where I post special effects makeup content over there. One final thing before we get into the video. I know a lot of you listen to my videos rather than watching them, which makes me curious to know if I took these videos and turned them into just audio on the podcast app. Obviously, it would be on both platforms, so it'd be visual and audio. Kind of like the reverse of how people turn podcasts into videos on YouTube. If I did that in reverse, would you guys enjoy listening to it on the podcast app? Is that something I should look into, or do you guys just prefer keeping it on YouTube and I shouldn't even bother? Let me know your thoughts on that. And without further ado, let's get right on into the video. Our first TikToks for these are Chloe7, who tells us about a paranormal experience she had while doing home health care.
Tell me a ghost story that sounds completely unbelievable but is entirely...
Okay, so this situation happened within a 3-day time span. So I used to do home health care. And I had this one lady, and she was the sweetest can be. Like, she was one of my favorites. But she was 103. You couldn't tell she was 103 because she looked really good, and she was still independent. But she really just needed someone to, like, be there with her and watch her to make sure nothing happened. So I was third shift. I did 7:30 to 7:30. I had about 3 to 4 days on, and then I had the rest of the days off. So like I said, this happened in a 3-day time span because by the 4th day, she was unfortunately gone. So first night comes, and every time when I would get there, she would always have, like, a pillow and a blanket and the remote waiting for me because she's like, you're going to be here all night. You might as well get comfortable, watch some TV, do what you got to do, which I did get comfortable, watch some TV. I did. So I'm in the living room watching TV. Now, mind you, off to the side, there were a set of stairs that led to the upstairs. But she had not been upstairs in the last, I think, like 10 years because she just could not do stairs anymore. So the upstairs was just really not used. And her family didn't really come see her either. So no one had been in the upstairs in about 10 years. So as I'm sitting there watching TV, all of a sudden, I literally hear footsteps, light footsteps come down the stairs. And it happened real quick, but I heard the footsteps come down the stairs. So I quick look over and I'm sitting there like, nah, I'm tripping. I'm tripping. It's like 2 o'clock in the morning. I ain't got no sleep. I really didn't get no sleep the night before. So I was like, I'm tripping. I'm just tripping. So about a good maybe 2 minutes later, I hear the footsteps going back up the stairs. Like, you know, when you can hear from going up from going down, I heard the footsteps going back up the stairs. So at this point, I know I'm not tripping. I know for a fact I heard something. It's not because I'm late, because I'm tired. I really heard something. So I go and I check on, we'll call her Miss Mabel. So I go and I check on Miss Mabel, and she's sitting straight up in her bed, right? Staring at a corner in her room. And I'm like, Miss Mabel. And she did not snap out of it until I went over and I touched her shoulder. And she said, oh, what are you doing up? Or is everything okay? And I'm like, girl, are you okay? So I put her back to bed. And then the night passes. I leave. I come back the next night. So the next night comes. And this night I am exhausted. Like, I had just worked my second job earlier in the day. I didn't get a chance to take a nap. So I am exhausted because I had been up almost 24 freaking hours, right? So I'm sitting there. I'm dozing off on the couch. And all of a sudden I hear her talking. But not like as in like just saying, oh, just having a little conversation with herself. No, she's literally, everything she's saying is a response to something. Like, she's having a conversation with somebody. So after a little while, I go in the room and I ask, I'm like, hey, Miss Mabel, like, what's going on? You okay? Like, who are you talking to? this lady looks at me with the biggest smile on her face, and she said, "Oh, I'm just talking to the lovely lady that's been coming to see me for the past couple nights." So you know what immediately popped in my head? What fucking lady? Ain't no lady in here. So I'm like, okay, girl, okay, you know. I'm like, maybe we should get you back to bed. So I put her back to bed, and that night passes, and I go home. Third night comes. So the third night comes, and this is where shit like just really starts to just amp up. So I'm sitting on the couch in the living room minding my business, right? And all of a sudden I hear footsteps come back down those stairs, okay? And this time I hear them go into the kitchen. Mind you, the kitchen is right behind me. So I'm frozen in fear. I'm not looking behind me at all. I'm sitting there acting like I didn't hear it. I don't know what the fuck is going on. So after about 5 minutes of me sitting there frozen in fear and in sweat, Miss Mabel comes around the corner. Now, mind you, in the living room, she had this special chair that she loved to take naps in, or she loved to just come and sleep in the middle of the night when she couldn't, just sleep in her bed. So she comes in and she's like, "You know what? I think I'm gonna just spend the rest of the night in here with you." And I said, "Why, Miss Mabel? Is everything okay?" "That's fine, but are you okay?" This woman looks at me and she goes, "The people in my room won't stop talking to me." Hello? So at this point, I'm terrified, but I don't want her to know that I'm terrified and that I'm shitting my pants right now, because I'm supposed to be there to protect you, right? Right. So I finally get her to go back to sleep so I can be in fear by myself. So I jet out the door the next day. I was so glad to see the day nurse come, because I was like, "Girl, I gotta fucking go." And literally, probably around like 5 or 6 o'clock that night, I got a call saying I don't have to come in because she passed away. And I feel like whatever was going on in that house, or whoever the fuck was going through the house or running through the house or messing with her in the middle of the night, I really feel like they were preparing her to go. Looking back on it, I really feel like they was. But I don't know. I have never experienced anything else like that ever again. I hope that I never do, because that was some freaky shit. But yeah.
Honestly, I feel like because she was getting closer to the end of her life, the veil must have been thinning and she was having contact with people on the other side. Hopefully it was people, spirits, not demons. It doesn't necessarily seem like she was afraid of them, so that's comforting to know that it probably was human spirits. She was just more annoyed that they kept talking, which is a very common thing. I mean, all the time people see their loved ones right before they pass on. And I think a lot of people kind of brush it off as like a hallucination because they're dying. But I really do think it is them actually seeing them, because the veil is thinner and they are able to almost like cross over before officially crossing over. But the thing that I think is really interesting is she says that the people in her room won't stop talking, which doesn't sound like it's family. You'd think if it was like her family members visiting her or her friends or something like that, she would say, "Oh, my family member," or "my family," or "my friends." She'd specifically refer to the fact that that's who it is and say that they won't stop talking, rather than "the people in my room." Makes it sound like it's strangers or just randoms. If I was a home healthcare worker and I experienced this, I for sure would be terrified experiencing this, but it doesn't seem like it was a dangerous situation. However, again, the fear is for sure warranted because you don't know what's going on. You don't have like an outside perspective to see that it doesn't seem to be dangerous and they're not after you or even necessarily after her. But it's terrifying in the moment, but it did create a great story, and it is sad that the woman passed, but I do think that all of those events happened because she was about to, and it was just the veil thinning and spirits kind of crossing over and interacting with her before she joined them on the other side. Our next TikTok's by user Tristan8104. Now, I have quite a few of his TikToks saved, but I am just going to show you one in this video because I am back and forth on the validity of these videos, and I want to hear what you guys think before I take up a bunch of time on videos showing all of this evidence. If you guys think it is completely fake, then there's no point in putting a bunch in a video, because I personally am very torn. So in this video, we see a clip of paranormal activity that is happening in his home. Now, for sure, this could happen. Absolutely. The question is it happening to him? Or is this all for views? Like I said, I have a ton of his TikToks saved, and there are a ton more, like probably 10 times the amount that I saved are actually on his TikTok. So it could be for views, for sure. But I think this video is really interesting because he like tries to show us that it's not someone else behind the door or something. However, you know, people are really smooth with like TikTok transitions when they're like doing like lip syncing videos and whatnot. I mean, I use transitions in my makeup videos. So it could be that kind of a thing where as he's opening the door, it's kind of like a transition and you can't tell that there's a cut and someone leaves the bathroom or something like that. That is completely possible. But if it's not cut, there's no one behind the door, there's no one in that tiny bathroom, it can't be a person, it has to be a ghost. I feel like sometimes I really question videos because, again, I know it's completely possible for things like this to happen, and activity can be insane, like throwing people across the room. It's happened and it can happen. It's kind of like, what are the odds that this video has actually captured that? And the odds are higher than they used to be with the prevalence of cell phones and cameras everywhere. There is a much higher chance that people are catching these things more regularly. But on the other hand, there is an absurd number of crazy activity videos where it's like you have to really weed out the real ones that just so happen to be caught on camera because we have such easy access to cameras these days versus the fake ones who are taking advantage of, you know, special effects or tricks like strings or transitions or whatever. So I feel like with the really crazy ones, I have to be super critical because I feel like maybe like 5%, 5 to 10% of the like insane ones are real. And the other 90 to 95% are not. So what do we think about this? I am really torn. Like I said, it's completely possible for this to happen, but the question is it truly happening to him? Our next 4 TikToks are by the user Jasmine Montez. I'm going to be grouping all these together and talking about them at the end rather than going like a couple at a time. In these 4 TikToks, she talks about how she finds out her imaginary friend was not just imaginary and the aftermath of finding this out.
Story time on how I found out that my imaginary friend at 5 years old was real. Okay, so I don't know about y'all, but I had an imaginary friend when I was 5 years old. So this was like 3 years ago, I want to say, something like that. It was Paranormal Day, and I was having a team meeting with my team. And my team lead was like, let's share some stories. Does anybody have stories to share? So everybody was sharing their story, and then it got to me, and they're like, Jasmine, you know, do you have any stories to tell? And I'm like, as a matter of fact, I do. I told them I had an imaginary friend when I was 5, and it was so real to me that my brother, my mom, my dad, my aunts, my family, they would catch me talking to my friend in my room or in car rides or whatever the case was. This is where it gets freaky, and pay attention, stay till the end because your mind will be blown, I swear. First of all, there was a cemetery there is a cemetery down the street from my childhood home. And my aunt didn't work too far from us, and not too far from the cemetery. We'd have to pass the cemetery to get to her work, and we would go pick her up. Well, whenever we would leave the house, sometimes my friend wasn't with me. So I would tell my mom, like, Mom, like, my friend, I'm not going to say her real name. I'm going to say her name is Lisa. I would tell her, Mom, Lisa's not in the truck. Like, we have to go back and get her. And my mom at first was like, Jasmine, like, no, like stop playing. I'm like, no, Mom, for real. So I would get really mad and really sad. I would have to, like, I would make my mom turn around to go pick up my friend. So my mom would turn around to go back to the house, and when we would be getting to my house, I would say, oh no, never mind, Lisa's already here. And my mom was like, what the heck, dude? Like, okay, whatever. Shout out to my mom for listening to me to make me happy. So like I said, we would pass the cemetery, and one day my mom says that I told her, Mom, look, that's where my friend lives. That's where she told me she lives. And my mom's like, oh, really? And then I'm like, yeah. And I'm pointing at the cemetery. Mind you, I'm 5 years old. What 5-year-old knows what a cemetery is, right? So we go pick up my aunt, and my mom, she's like stunned, right? She's like, what the hell? You know, she's been talking to this imaginary friend for some time now, and now she's telling me that her friend lives in a cemetery. Okay, if my daughter were to tell me that right now, my 5-year-old daughter were to tell me, I would be freaked out, right? So my mom was freaked out. We go pick up my aunt. This imaginary friend was so serious for me. At the time, my whole neighborhood would kind of play together. All the kids would play together. All the kids would come to my house and play with me because I had a little playground. Even the kids that were a little bit older than me, they would come and push me on the swings. We'd play tag, all of that, right? And after a while, they started getting freaked out because I would say, oh, don't forget to push my friend Lisa, or oh, don't forget to go tag my friend Lisa. And they were just like, Jasmine, like, I'll be back. I gotta go home real quick. So it was just a big deal. Okay, fast forward, right? So I'm telling my coworkers all this, right? And they're like, oh my God. We get off the call, and one of my coworkers messages me on Teams, and she says, hey, I'm curious. Did you ever go and look in the cemetery, what do you call it? The word just like left my mind. The cemetery directory or something like that, to see if there was in fact a little kid there by the name of your imaginary friend, to see if they're actually there. And I was like, you know what? Like, I never thought of that. Stay with me. This is where it all comes together, and where I was just blown away. Stay with me. I did that. I went to the directory of that cemetery, and I type in my imaginary friend's name. Long and behold, a little girl pops up with my imaginary friend's name. Okay, now this is how I linked it and confirmed it. Okay, so my grandma passed away in December of 2000. My friend Lisa, date of death is 3 months prior to my grandma passing away, right? Okay, stay with me. I dug a little deeper because I was like, okay, she's there, but where is she, right? Where my grandma's plot is, my friend, my imaginary friend, her plot is like 3 blocks down from my grandma, which is not far at all. And that just stunned the heck out of me, because she had just been buried. When we went to my grandma's burial. So I'm like, oh my God, I must have stepped over her stone. I must have walked past it. I don't know where she attached herself to me. So I did more research, like I said, because I really dug into this. I was like invested. Just the fact that she exists. She was like 6 or 7 years old when she passed away. I dug in deeper. I put in my city, I put in the name, I put in where she, when she passed away, just to see if I could find a story about her, right? And I did. I did, and it's a very sad story, and it's very unfortunate, and I felt really bad. I also did research about, you know, young children's spirits. And what I read, when children pass on, some of them are confused. They don't know what's going on, right? They don't know what just happened to them. So their souls sometimes stay grounded, you know, they stay where, you know, in certain places or whatever. If you want more information on that, you can go and research it. But I was just so like, oh my God, like I had to tell somebody. So I called my husband. I told my husband, I was like, oh my God, dude, check this out. After I talked to my husband, I called my dad, because my dad is one of the persons that is very well aware of my imaginary friend. Okay, I'm running out of time. Go to part 2 to hear the rest of the story. Okay, part 2 of how I found out that my imaginary friend that I had at 5 years old was real. And if you haven't seen part 1, go to my page and watch it, and come back and watch part 2. Okay, so I proceeded to tell my dad everything that I had found out about my imaginary friend, and he was pretty stunned at the story of how she passed away. And he pretty much, you know, told me what I had already researched, that, you know, she might have been lost, she might have been scared, she might have been confused about, you know, how, you know, everything that happened, or, you know, what happened, and which is why she attached herself to me. So everything about this story, it just, like, for me to say it hits home, it is home. Her family is from my city, and very close by. Like, her house where she was taken from is not too far from my aunt's house, my aunt that we used to go pick up. Where they found her isn't far at all. Like, it's so just very close, right? It's very sad, and it's very unfortunate. It's one of those things where the mom's boyfriend, you know, unalived her. I think that when I read that, I felt really good, you know. I mean, like I said, it's very sad about what happened to her, you know, and I hate things like that. I hate to see, hear, read stuff about, you know, things like that happening to kids. But it kind of made me feel like some type of way, and it made me emotional. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, because look at me, I'm getting all teary-eyed. It made me feel good because I helped her in a way, you know what I mean? Like, the stories that my family tells me, and even the kids I used to play with in my neighborhood when we grew up, and they would be like, oh yeah, Jazz, like, after a while, you know, when we would go play with you, it was always about Lisa, you know, do this to Lisa, and push Lisa, and go catch Lisa. And there's no stories of, like, Lisa making me do something bad, or me being scared of Lisa. Like, it was never anything like that, you know. So it made me feel good, because although she physically wasn't here, we played like I was her friend and she was mine, and that is the good thing that comes out of all of this. I will say as well, as I was researching everything, her murderer, he was sentenced to death, and they executed him a couple of years ago. To say that, you know, the family got justice is something that I'm grateful for. Obviously, nothing is going to take away the pain of that family, but I feel like that brings them a little bit of peace. Now, my dad also proceeded to ask me, like, if I would go visit her tombstone. And now I'm scared of all that stuff. Like, do I want my kids to have an imaginary friend? No. And I don't know how my parents did it after all the stories that they would tell me. I guess they just weren't scared of that type of stuff. But I don't know, you know, now that I know everything I know, like I said, I found all this out like 2 to 3 years ago, right? And it just changed everything for me. Like, I think about it in a whole different way, and I'm still thinking about going and possibly visiting her tombstone. But like I said, now I'm a chicken to all that stuff. So I'm like, do I want a ghost to get attached to me now? No. Like I said, there's nothing bad. There's no bad memories of me having this imaginary friend. Pobrecita, you know, I feel really, really bad of how she was taken. But I'm so glad that that monster is dealt with and over with. But yeah, that's my story. and it's a crazy one. And it's like I said, I found out about all this 2 to 3 years ago, and I can still talk about it like if I just found out yesterday. But yeah, that's it. Okay, so there was a comment that said, oh, so now you're ghosting us. And I swear that is not the case. I've had a really busy day today, and I was glancing at a couple of comments, but this comment, I literally went through all the comments to look for this specific one because this one stood out to me. She says, insane. I definitely believe in all this stuff, and I definitely feel you about visiting her grave now, and being a mom with your own kids and bringing stuff back home is real. Protect your bubble. I want to respond to this one because a lot of you are telling me to go visit her grave. I definitely would like to eventually go visit her grave. I don't feel I'm ready for that, and I want to get more prepped and learn more about it and take the right precautions just in case, for the fact that I do have my own kids now. And like I mentioned in my video, do I want my friends to have any imaginary friend? No. Fun fact, my daughter, my firstborn, when she was 3 years old, we lived at an apartment complex and we were on the 4th floor. This is to show you that I don't play with that stuff now. One day I was cleaning, passed by her room, heard her talking to somebody or to herself, and right away I was like, open the door, girl, who you talking to? But yeah, I asked her, hey baby, who you talking to? And she's like, oh, my friend. And she tells me a name. Again, I'm gonna make up a name. She tells me her friend's name is Nia. And I'm like, who's Nia? And she's like, oh, her mama and her dada, they let her come and crawl up our building to talk to me at night. What? Girl, let me tell you, I ran so fast to go get my bottle of holy water, because what thing is crawling up to the 4th floor to visit my daughter at night? Nope. Got my holy water, sprayed it all over her room, all over my apartment, said a prayer, said something into the effect, that, things aren't welcome in here. That was the last time that she talked about her friend Nia. But let me tell you, from experience, like I said, I believe my imaginary friend was 100% real. Okay, I don't have doubts about that. My daughter, although she didn't talk like if she was still experiencing her, she remembered her name for a couple of years after that. I think after she turned, she was like 3 or 4 at the time. By the time she got to the age of 6, I believe, she didn't remember her name anymore. But yeah, that just goes to show you I don't play with that stuff anymore. So I am afraid of going to visit her grave. She was nice. There's nothing but good stories about her, but still, like I said, I want to be more prepped. Then she says at the end of this comment that it was nice that I included her in everything. This kind of connects to one of the questions that I'm going to answer right after this one. But yes, I did include her in everything. Just the way you see in movies when kids are like, don't sit there, my friend's sitting there. That was me. Those are the stories that my mom has to tell, my dad, my family. But yeah, definitely wanted to get to this comment first. I may not get to answer all the questions that I want to answer tonight because it's 2 o'clock in the morning right now. So what a better time to talk about this than now. But I do have a busy day tomorrow, so if I don't get to a lot of questions today, I will get to them tomorrow or maybe the next day. Was she dressed like you? Did she stop coming? Would you consider seeing, telling her family, ¿Qué pasó? Okay, so when I looked her up on the cemetery directory and I saw her picture come up right away, you know when somebody shows you a picture and they ask you, do you know this person? And you're like, and you just kind of continue looking at the picture, and then you're like, you know what, yeah, I do know that person. That's kind of the way I was when I looked at her picture. And to be completely honest with you guys, when I saw her picture, my heart dropped. Like, I was looking at the screen at her picture for like 5 minutes. My heart literally dropped. And it was just that feeling that I felt like, I know this little girl. Like, I know her. I've seen her. Do I remember seeing her, physically seeing her at that age? No, I don't. But I just felt right away when I saw her picture. Was she dressed like you? That's funny that you asked, because when I showed my parents a picture of her, my parents were like, whoa, y'all look alike. Which was so true, because if I put a picture of her and a picture of me, of what I look like at the age of 5, we literally do look identical. She had a certain hairstyle and I had that same hairstyle. Okay, the complexion, I had the same complexion. It was just crazy, right? And I thought the same thing when I first saw her picture. But I didn't say anything to my parents until I showed them the picture. And when they told me, whoa, like, Jazz, she looks like you, I was like, right? It was just crazy. That whole day was just crazy. Now, would you consider telling her family? Another question that was on my videos was, do I know her family? No, I don't personally know her family. But like I said, this was a big story in my barrio, in my city. And I saw what her parents looked like. I saw what some of her family members looked like. That day when I found everything out, when I was doing detective work and everything, I will say that I did look them up on Facebook because I was just so invested. I was just so like mind blown. Like, I couldn't believe how everything linked up, and I couldn't believe how real it was. Because like I said, although I don't remember physically seeing her at that age, her name just stuck with me my whole life. Like, she was known. I knew her name. My parents know her name. That's how big of a deal it was. Would I consider telling her family? No, I wouldn't. I don't know why I feel like it probably isn't, but I don't know why I feel like it would be a little disrespectful. It's been so many years. And I know I just pieced this whole thing together recently, but I think I'm more scared to like bring up that topic to them, because, you know, like I said, she went in a horrible way. It's a very sad story. It's very disturbing. I'm gonna say that. So to bring up that type of subject again, bring up that person again, and tell them like, oh yeah, you know, she was my imaginary friend when I was 5. I don't know, you know, there's a lot of ways that her family can take it, and that's just not something that I would like to get involved with and do.
So one of my first thoughts as she was telling this is how she knew it was her based on just the first name, but I'm assuming, given the fact that she's using a different first name for the purposes of the story, she also knew her imaginary friend's last name and it matched up as well. I don't recall hearing her say it in any of these TikToks, so I'm just assuming that the last name had to have matched up too, because obviously there's so many people with the same first name. But that, on top of the fact that she does say in one of her follow-up videos that when she saw the photo, it immediately clicked for her that she knew it was her. So I think between those two things, we can confirm that it is, in fact, the friend that she had growing up. And I mean, what happened to her is so sad. I don't understand how things like that happen. Like, how people could be so awful to do things like that to anyone, much less children. But I think it is really sweet that she apparently was still able to have a best friend who cared about her so much and included her in everything and didn't treat her any differently because she thought she was like real. I mean, Lisa was real to Jasmine. And honestly, I feel like maybe she picked her because she knew that she would be the perfect friend for her. She would include her in everything, wouldn't look at her differently. And it is so devastating that obviously she never got to grow up and live a real life. But I appreciate that from the sound of it, it seems like she was able to have a friend still. And I really do hope that she's out there making more friends as her friends grow up, that she finds a new friend to be their imaginary friend. I hope she is thriving as much as possible in the afterlife, and it's unfortunate she has to be there, but I think it is so crazy that essentially we have this evidence of all the things that she looked up, that this is that little girl. I do definitely agree on not telling the family unless they come across this video and put two and two together and come to her. I don't think there's any reason to go to them. Obviously, I'm sure they think about her daily, but I don't think it would be necessary to go and bring it up and open old wounds by being like, yeah, like I saw her and played with her. Yeah, I don't think it would be a good idea to bring it to the family. I don't think there's any problem with her visiting her grave. I think it would be nice for her to go at least once for at least kind of maybe closure on her childhood and what she's discovered. But I don't see anything wrong with it as long as she's obviously going there and being respectful. Because, in a sense, Lisa was a huge part of her childhood. Our next TikTok is from user DNA222 Settle, who shows us interior security footage of paranormal activity that they experience frequently in their home. For those listening, the words on the screen say, "So we always hear a baby crying. A lot of us have, but this is the first time it went on that long."
Hey, yeah, did you hear baby crying? No, I just opened the door. Oh, I thought that's why you opened the door. I heard it crying a long time in here.
Okay, I definitely don't think this is it, but the first thought that popped into my head is I have heard that sometimes traffickers will use the sound of a crying baby outside your door at night to get you to come out and investigate, because who wouldn't investigate a crying baby sound outside your front door? And that's how they essentially kidnap you or try to take you. So in that instance, if that ever happens to you, it's best to call the police and have the police come out and investigate rather than you going out there and putting yourself in danger. Might as well add that safety tip in there while I'm on the topic. But I don't think that's it, especially if it happens so often. You wouldn't think that they'd be coming to the same house over and over and over again. But that is something that immediately popped into my head when I was listening to this. I do wonder if maybe a baby unfortunately passed in this house at some point. I mean, we know absolutely nothing else besides this video. We don't know if they're the first owners, if this house is old, if this house is new, if a bunch of people have lived there before. Maybe the previous owners had a baby who passed, or maybe somehow it's just residual energy. No baby passed, but there was a baby there, and for some reason there's residual energy, although I don't think that that would be as common of a thing to happen. I think there could be a lot of reasons for this happening, but I do think it is really interesting at the end, the orbs that follow him, and I 100% believe these are orbs. The way they kind of fade in a little bit and like dissolve at certain points, I really genuinely do think is an orb, and it does make me wonder then if it is the spirit of a baby or another spirit that's in the house that just isn't as vocal. But I definitely do think those are orbs at the end, and I think the combination of the two occurrences are really interesting. Our next TikTok is by the user Mysteries Unexplained. In this video, we see living room camera footage of a reflection in a mirror.
I haven't even had this camera set up a day, and already caught paranormal activity. Watch the mirror. I hate this creepy AF haunted, spooky, ghoul-infested house.
I don't know about this one. My first thought is that it is an edited video. I feel like in my brain it's almost obvious that it's edited, but for some reason I'm almost hesitant to say that. I don't know why. I just feel like the lines are so crisp and the way it moves, it seems like someone's just taking a shadowy top hat man and just moving him through the frame of the mirror. I genuinely don't think it looks like an actual reflection of something being caught in the background. But then it seems kind of weird to me that they're just taking a video of them playing with their kid with Miss Rachel on in the background to make a fake ghost video. I guess that's not abnormal because people make fake ghost videos all the time, but I think it's just like the setting and the contents of this video that seems odd to me. Unless it's like a complete joke and it's some kind of inside thing with their friends and family and never meant to be viral and taken seriously by the general public. But to me, it does not feel real. Our next 4 TikToks are by the user BayuNola Mom. She tells us about the home she bought that she found out was haunted and her experiences in it.
I decided I'm going to tell the story about the house that we used to live in. As a Christian, you're taught you're not supposed to believe in spirits. I do believe in spirits. I've personally seen them myself. We moved into the home in 2013. It was my husband, myself, and at the time we had 4 children. I had not had our 5th yet. And we were just starting to move in, so we were painting and getting everything together. My husband left me at the house by myself to paint, and it was in the daytime. It wasn't anything scary. It was a 2-story house. I'm gonna put a picture of it here. Neighborhood is another story that it all intertwines into all of this. If you're from Louisiana, in the area that we live in, folklore that goes with living here, I don't know anything about the land. The house was not a brand new house, but it wasn't old. And I was upstairs painting, and I was by myself in the house. Then all of a sudden, I hear the water turn on in the bathroom. That was my first, the knob was already on and they just turned the water on. I didn't think too much into it. It did give me an eerie feeling, but I blew it off because it wasn't that big of a deal. I want to say time goes by, little things happen all the time. We hear things all the time, things will open and close, things will turn on and off. It was just kind of just brushed away, it wasn't a big deal because we were just okay, whatever. Our dogs would bark up the stairs at nothing all the time. So my daughter is born. Things start kind of picking up around the house where things start happening. My son starts sleepwalking more. There's I would wake up, he would be sitting at the foot of my bed. Every time people would come over, they would say they felt really strange in the house. When my daughter was about 1.5, this is when things really took off, and I don't know why. And I'm gonna give you the backstory of the neighborhood and all the incidents that happened there too as well, because I think it just all ties into it. So my daughter we're home together. Everyone is at school because the kids are older. My husband is at work. So my daughter and I are sitting on the floor in the living room, and she looks behind me and she goes, hi, ha, ha, talking to whoever it is behind me. I picked her up. I was like, let's go outside. I went and sat outside. I was so freaked out. So I'm telling my husband, I'm like, something is wrong with this house. I don't know what it is. It's never felt comfortable. It's always felt heavy. There's something that's just not right in this house. So someone that's close to me, I'm a Christian, she practices some Wiccan, or I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but she just I talked to her. She's like, I'll do a cleansing, you do your cleansing. So I'm gonna read from the Bible. She's gonna do her ritual where we're just gonna try to tackle whatever's going on in the house. So fast forward to the night that we decide to do that. Well, she does her thing, I do my thing, and I'm reading from the Bible, and all of a sudden there's a banging on the door. The kids are screaming at this point. We have cameras all around the house. there's nothing on the cameras. There's nothing outside the door. The banging freaked us out. That was enough to like put us in a spiral. We start looking into selling it because it was just like, I don't know, it just didn't feel right. Things were just happening too often. My son is upstairs taking a shower. Everybody is downstairs. He's the only one upstairs. Well, he starts screaming, "Zoe, stop." Like, we can hear him from upstairs screaming, "Tell Zoe, stop." Well, everyone is confused because Zoe is sitting on the sofa. He comes downstairs and he's like, "Somebody was banging on the door. I know it was you, Zoe." And we're all in the living room. We're like, nobody's banging on the door. Not one person banged on the door. Not one person was upstairs. We were all sitting on the sofa as a family, and he went upstairs to shower by himself. But next thing that happened is I'm home by myself. I have my daughter with me, and she's a baby at the time. She's still like 1.5. She's a toddler at this age. All of this, like, everything kind of like amped up within this year. And then we ended up getting out of the house because it was just too much. And that freaks me out too. Okay, I need to be careful what I'm talking about. That kind of scared me. But anyways, so home by myself. My son plays the guitar. I am about to get in the shower, and I have my daughter who is sitting in her little like bouncy seat thing, and I hear from upstairs. Mind you, everyone is at school. My husband is at work. I hear the guitar strum, like I hear the guitar strum. I'm like, maybe like their dad dropped them off because we have a his, hers, and our situation. So I was like, maybe their dad brought them home from school. And I'm like, but wait, the lock is on the door. There's no way they could have gotten in. So I go out, all the house is locked. I'm screaming like Landon, Evan. I'm calling for my kids. No one is answering me. No one is home. I go upstairs. The guitar is laying on the ground upstairs. So at this point, I'm like, okay, like this is really happening. Like these things are just like happening left and right. I'm praying. I'm like begging God to just like keep all of us safe while we're here. The people that did end up buying our house, like if they see this video, they already know, like we did tell them about this. It wasn't like, you know, we're not disclosing something. When we left the house, we let them know the things that happened. It's as far as what they wanted to believe or what happened with them afterwards, I don't know. But I will say this, the final straw for us, okay, no, let me back up. So one night I'm sitting at the computer. This is at the time I'm in college. I'm studying for my psychology classes. I'm writing a paper. I feel someone walk into like the room behind me. But when I turn around, all I see is a male figure, and then before I can blink my eyes, it's gone. And I'm like, and when I turned around, I said, "I'm coming," because I thought it was my husband coming to ask me how much longer I was going to be awake. So I was going to tell him, "I'm coming to bed." But before I could even like blink my eyes, it was gone, but I did see it. So I was like, okay, then let me go back again. I'm really starting to freak myself out. Okay, so the final straw, the reason we sold this house was because I think we went to the zoo that day. We came home and I was outside walking the dogs, and all of a sudden I hear my daughter from inside screaming. Everybody else is inside as well. She was locked in our bedroom. Now the locks that we had, you had to turn, like it was the lock where you had to turn it in order to lock it. The door was locked from the inside. So I am like banging, trying to get in. She is only like 1.5 years old. She was too little to actually like physically turn the lock in order to lock it because it wasn't easy to lock that door. Okay, so you're gonna have to go to part 2 because I just have to tell you about the neighborhood and the things that happened in that neighborhood. So I waited until daytime to be able to continue the story because it was really freaking me out last night. I went through my Dropbox though and was able to pull like photos and pictures, and I even found a text message talking about everything that I had a screenshot of from 2017, and I'm glad that I have that. Put the text here and you can pause and read it. I left off with my daughter being locked in the room. When I was outside, I could hear her screaming from inside. Everybody, by the time I got inside, my husband was by the door, all the kids are by the door. She is locked on the other side in the room by herself. She is screaming horrifically and she can't open the door. So we're calling, like the kids are going to get like a credit card so my husband can open the door. He finally gets the door open. She is like completely red. She's terrified. She is so scared. She said the door's locked. That's all she kept saying. The door's locked, the door's locked, the door's locked. We don't know how it happened. She was just too little to be able to lock this door. I have pictures of the house that I'm gonna just like put in here. I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna put these pictures in. I did take a photo of one area in the house on my camera phone, and I noticed there was like some type of something in there, and it could be nothing. It could be anything. I'm not saying that it is a spirit that's caught here. These here. You could take a second and zoom in. When things were happening, I did contact the nun of our church, and she put me in contact with the priest, and that's what you saw in the text message. He did ask me a lot of questions. He told me to pray. He told me to bring the kids to church. He asked me if anyone like had depression or anxiety, or he was able to guide me. He told me, like, we did start attending church more. I did use holy water. I did pray over all my children. I did pray over the house. I had the crucifixes that were all around the house. I had them blessed, put them back up. I did have the house blessed. There was just so many things that happened. Bayou Coquille. There is a place that is about like a minute outside of our neighborhood where there is a haunted tree. The tree supposedly contains a witch that they had cemented in there like hundreds and thousands of years ago. It is a folklore that and everyone around here knows this story. They call it the haunted tree or Dead Man's Curve. I think every state has a Dead Man's Curve, or every town has a Dead Man's Curve. Our Dead Man's Curve is at Bayou Coquille. I could not really find pictures. I wanted to go out today to go take a video and a picture of it, and I probably will later on. That way I could post a video and you could see what it looks like. But like, of course, as kids, we would go out to this spot, and I'm not encouraging this. I don't think it's a good idea. Don't do this. This is something that we did in the 90s, and it's so ridiculous. But like, as teenagers, you go out to this tree, and it's on a road. It is a pitch black road. It is completely dark. There are no street lights. It is the bayou. There's so much wildlife. It's something that as teenagers you did. So I went out there personally with my friend and my sister, and you're supposed to, once you get out to Dead Man's Tree or Dead Man's Curve or the Witch's Tree, you cut your headlights off in the dark and you see how long you can last, which is not safe. It is not safe. It's not safe. Don't do this. I'm not encouraging this. This is not safe. As soon as you click the headlights on, you have to see if the witch is there. That's the folklore. That's what it is. That's what it's always been. So we did that when we were younger. My sister had the old like flip phone, not a razor. It was like before the razor. She had a flip phone. She took a photo of it as soon as my friend flipped her headlights on, and there was a figure in the picture. We were so scared that we deleted the picture. I was 15, so this is like 25 years ago. This is so long ago. We deleted the picture. We were so scared to keep the picture because we didn't want anything to follow us home. So this is all right outside of this neighborhood that is newly established within the last 10 years of us moving there. So I'm gonna go back to the things that happen in the neighborhood, and the reason why I feel like it's this neighborhood in particular. I don't want to I have to be respectful because there are people that still live in this neighborhood. This is an established neighborhood. And when I'm talking about these people's stories, I also want to be respectful to them because it's not my story to tell. These are just things that I know these are facts that I know that have happened. I'm going to post a news article here. This is a family that was the husband unalived his family and then unalived himself. Everything happened within a 2-block radius. This happened in the neighborhood, right on a back street. Then you have on our specific street, one house on the corner was hit by lightning 3 times. The same house, 3 times. Could be a conduit for electricity, not sure. That's just something that happened. Then next door, they had a child that had, he was diagnosed with a very rare cancer. Then you go down the street about 5 houses down, and a child had the same exact rare cancer, lost his leg. I'm trying to be respectful. I know these families personally. They are both in remission. Everyone is fine. Then the house next door to that, someone got diagnosed with stage 4 brain cancer. Everything that's happened while we were living there. The house was infested with rats. The house across the street was infested with termites. They had the house next door to us. He sadly passed away from an overdose. There was just so many things just in this one street. and somebody posted about it. Like, it was on the Facebook Nosy Neighbors page. Someone posted about it, and they're like, does anybody realize how weird everything is that happens in this neighborhood? And that's when we realized we just had to get out. A lot of people are not superstitious. I am superstitious just because these things were happening to us. This was everything that happened while we were there. This is why I was afraid to stay there. I didn't want to keep my family there, and I just didn't want to be in that house any longer. So once we moved out of that house, everything stopped. A cloud had lifted off of us. So I just wanted to share this story. I am a believer. I've seen it. Thank you so much for watching. We were all experiencing this together as a whole, so it wasn't like it was just, oh, mom's crazy or mom's hearing things. We were all hearing and seeing things in this house. All of my siblings that would come visit, my sister was afraid to sleep at my house. She would not sleep upstairs because she was afraid to sleep there. It was affecting everyone. Like, it didn't just happen to just me in this circumstance. So it was like everyone was seeing things, everyone was hearing things. But I will say this, because this is a funny story. I'm gonna put up the painting here because my husband bought me this painting at a thrift store, and it's because I liked it a lot. And it is kind of creepy when you look at it. I still have this painting. I'm not afraid of it. I like this painting. The kids did not like this painting. We're taking everything down off the walls to paint to move. This is at the time of us leaving. This is after, like, all these things have happened. My husband is on edge. We're all on edge. We don't know what could happen next. So I put the painting in my room and I lean it up against the dresser. We go to sleep. I hear my husband go, Lauren, and I wake up. I'm like, what's wrong? Is everything okay? He's like, look at the painting. And he said, where did the kids go? And I'm like, the kids? Where did the kids? What? And I'm half awake. So when I see it, I'm like, oh my gosh, where did the kids go? And then I just start cracking up laughing. And he's like, the kids aren't in the painting anymore. And I'm like, oh my gosh. I get up, I click the lights on, and I flip it around. The painting was facing backwards, so we were just looking at the paper backing. It's like an antique painting, so like the backing is paper. So it was the funniest thing ever, because at that point, for him, if you knew my husband, like, for him to start to be worried and starting to, like, be afraid and more aware of things, it's just hilarious. That was really, really funny, that situation that night. That's when it was just like, okay, we are all gonna lose our minds staying here, and it's just too many things. But I just wanted to share that story because I thought it was so funny, because, I mean, it did look like the kids, like, waltzed out of the painting. They weren't in the picture anymore. Thank you so much for being patient with me to get part 2 out. I did not want to talk about it anymore last night because I did not realize, like, one of the comments, someone said, noise when you talked about locking, and I didn't even know that was there until I was editing it last night and I heard it, and I was like, I need to just go to sleep because I'm freaking myself out. I was hearing things, and, like, things were happening. The candle, like, that was really crazy. I don't know how that just, like, went bright all of a sudden in that moment. So I just needed to start fresh during daytime when I wasn't alone. So have a great day, and thank y'all so much. And I can tell you more stories if you're interested. I have a few more, so just let me know what you think. Happy Thursday. Here's another story about the house that we used to live in. If you visit my page, you will be able to see that there are other videos explaining the home and things that happen there. And I just decided recently to start talking about it. A lot of people that are close to us know these stories. This is something that happened to my mom. She decided to come stay with us while she was in town. She ended up leaving and going to stay at her friend's house after this happened because she was so freaked out she didn't want to stay at the house anymore. The second night she was at the house, I hear her upstairs calling for me. She kind of knew about the things that happened in the house. Everybody kind of did. So I go upstairs to check on her to see why she's calling for me. It was like, you're never gonna believe what just happened. I'm like, well, what happened? Tell me what's going on. She said, I got up to use the bathroom and I didn't turn the lights on because there is a nightlight. There was a nightlight in the hall. And she said she put her hands on the wall to, like, feel her way to the bathroom because she didn't want to fall down the stairs. And when she put her hands up in the hall right outside of the guest room, she said she felt a person. Immediately, like, if you bump into someone, she said, I felt a person. And she said she hurried up and she leaned back and she flipped the lights on in the guest room and nothing was there. So that was when she decided that she could not stay with us because she said that it was just too much. She ended up sleeping with me in my room, and my husband ended up having to go sleep on the sofa, and she stayed in the room with me. Next morning she woke up and she said, I love you guys, but this is just too much for me, and she packed and she went to stay at her friend's house. So I think that's when everybody started to kind of believe that things were really happening in the house because of them experiencing it themselves. She said, I even asked her, I'm like, how do you know? Like, you could have just bumped into like something else. It could have just been the wall. When you put your hand up, you could have just felt anything. And she said, I felt a person. There was a person there. A person. I touched a person. Like, if you bump into someone, I touched a person. And she said, when I turned the lights on, no one was there. Hopefully I can get her to come on like tomorrow. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening, and have a great night. I have other stories to tell about the house that I used to live in, but I also have stories from when I was younger and things that happened in other houses that I've lived in or things that I've seen when I was growing up. Like a big thing for me to talk about this with people that are on TikTok. I want to say like bring spiritual awareness because it sounds insane. I feel like I'm finally able to tell my stories. I'm happy that it's other people are encouraged to tell their stories too. I have someone that wrote me that wants me to share their story, and I'm gonna do that as well. I'm working on that, and I'm gonna get those out within the next couple of days. I have other stories that happen in the house from the other videos, but I also have stories from other things that have happened when I was growing up. So I'm gonna go back to the house that I lived in when my older children were younger, and I lived there with my 2 older sons and my ex-husband, and I was about 20 at the time when this happened. So we move into the home, nothing really happens. You just kind of had that feeling all the time that you were being watched. Like, it's that feeling that something could be there. One night when I was sleeping, I know that people talk about sleep paralysis. This happened to me there. It happened to me maybe twice in my entire life, and I'm so freaked out because I don't like talking about it because I hope to God I'm not setting myself up for this to happen again, because it's pretty awful. We were sleeping and I woke up and I saw someone at the end of the bed and I was frozen. Nothing in me could move. I couldn't scream for anything. I like started praying in my head, and then I could only like move my fingers. So I was like trying to wake him up, get him awake, and he said something, and I came to and I woke up and I started screaming because I thought somebody was in the house, and he jumped up and he was searching around the house because of me saying that I saw someone. Their dad is in the military, so when he was gone, I would keep people on the phone with me, like my sisters, my mom, or somebody would be on the phone with me while I would sleep because I was really freaked out in this house because it just always felt like someone was watching you. We end up going to a friend of ours, their wedding. I was sitting next to the uncle of the friend that the wedding was for. He said, oh, you live in the house that's across the street from our old house? And I was like, oh yeah, I do. And he said, you live in the house where the lady unalived herself. And I said, what? I was like, wait, a lady unalived herself? Never heard of it, didn't know this happened at all. Like, well, this is kind of making sense. Like, this makes sense now. And I called my grandmother. She's extremely religious. So she was like, just say your prayers, walk around the house. I'll come to the house and pray on the house. We prayed in the house. We just made sure the house was blessed. Talked to the neighbors. They had been living there for like 50 years. She told me the story about the lady who was very sick. She was diagnosed with cancer, and she didn't want to be a burden on her children. That she took a mattress out of her room and put it in the hallway. She used a pew and unalived herself. My heart was more broken for her. Felt like someone was just watching us all the time. It was like someone was just there. That's why I didn't like to be alone at that house. She didn't give me a bad feeling, like she was trying to hurt us. That's the only person that I could think would be there if she had such a horrific ending to her life. It wasn't like a feeling like something was trying to hurt us. So in the past home that we lived in, yes, it was a feeling like someone was trying to either scare us, hurt us. They didn't want us there. It's a feeling of just not being wanted. I will say this. I am so thankful, and I encourage everyone to tell their stories about everything that they've seen in their lives. I'm thankful that people are trusting me to tell their stories. That's like, it's just so huge. And I'm waiting because I have to make sure I have all the details. I'm waiting to hear back from both of the people that have written me, and I'm going to make sure I have all the details correct before I tell their story. I'll put that out probably within the next few days. If you have any stories that you want to share, please You know, if you want me to tell it, that's no problem. I would be honored to tell it if you want to write me. And if you want to tell it, and put in the comments that you have a story to tell, and we will definitely go visit your page because I want to hear all of your stories. I think it's important to be heard. I believe you. I believe your stories because I know what it feels like to not have people believe. I have a lot of stories that I can tell, and I'm happy to share with you if you want to hear them. You'll have a great night. Thank you again, and I hope to see you guys soon. Good night.
Well, certainly the fact that a woman committed suicide in that house explains a lot of what she experienced. I mean, if she was incredibly sick, obviously there was a long period of suffering and emotions that created an energy and an atmosphere in the house, as well as the strong bout of energy that comes from someone taking their own life. I feel like the story about the tree and a body being cemented in there does not sound realistic. However, when someone is telling that story over and over and over again, and there's a big group of people that are believing in this story and sharing it over and over, regardless of if it's true or not, the energy of that story being told and people believing that thing about this space can still create a kind of paranormal effect in that location. So whether or not it was true, which I don't think is possible to cement someone into a tree, the lore about this and people constantly repeating it and believing it and giving the energy to the story for sure could have created something in that area. And so that could also explain if she's so close to that location that something is happening to her because of it. And also stories about other people having health issues. It may lead back to this tree, maybe not. It could just be an environmental thing. It could be a coincidence, but it could be linked. We don't know. I do think it's interesting though that she mentioned that Christians aren't supposed to believe in ghosts. I've never heard that. Maybe it's like a Christian denomination specifically that teaches that. I mentioned before I grew up Catholic, and through all the years I went to religious education, never heard about that I shouldn't believe in spirits. My whole family's Catholic and they tell a lot of ghost stories. So I didn't know that was a thing, but I think that's really interesting. I wonder if it again, it is a specific denomination of Christianity. I don't know, interesting. Something to research for sure. I do think it was smart of her to have her friend who was Wiccan come in and do a cleansing of her own while she prayed. I feel like it's kind of like a double whammy of two people and their very strong but different beliefs coming together and almost uniting to cleanse the space. I feel like that is really smart and could essentially add more power to the intention itself. My dishwasher makes the cutest noise. These stories are crazy, and it seems like it's just one thing after another after another. I certainly would not be brave enough to be sitting there telling these stories in the dark by candlelight, so it's certainly a good vibe, for sure. Very eerie, but I don't think I'd be doing that. I would be like looking behind my shoulder every 5 seconds. Let me know your thoughts on this one. Our next 3 TikToks are these are Catlin, who documents paranormal activity going on in her home. This was taken at like 4:30 a.m. I had to record to prove to my friends that I'm actually hearing noises and nobody was awake except for me.
People saying I'm schizophrenic. Do you hear that? Lord, save me. What the fuck? I'm the only one here, bitch. I don't want to go out there.
I'm hoping that was one of the dogs, but they were nowhere near the door.
I don't even know what to do. I don't know. I'm gonna have to.
Just the dogs. She keeps crying and staring at the door that leads to our living room.
Why are you crying? What? Maddie? Maddie? What's the matter? What? Are you okay? What's the matter with you? What? Yo, I don't even... She's crying at something and there's nothing there. I don't know what's going on right now.
I think the fact that the dogs are reacting so heavily to this is a really important thing to note. I mean, we talk about it all the time that animals can absolutely sense and see ghosts, and their reactions to these things are really important to pay attention to. I think the first video we saw with all of the banging and weird noises is crazy. I mean, quite frankly, it literally sounds like there's someone in the room making those noises, but with the combination of the other two videos and a few others that are on her page, I really don't think that's the case. I think there's actually something going on in her home. I'm kind of torn between saying that it's important to document these things to refer back to and to show people versus ignoring it completely, because it doesn't seem like it's necessarily there to harm her, at least at this stage. You never know, like things can change. But that's the thing, is the more attention you give to spirits and paranormal activity in general, it creates more of it. Essentially, quite frankly, that is the law of the universe. Anything you pay attention to, you get more of. But it's just, in this specific case, it really feels like it is something that she should be recording and documenting. I guess if she's doing it as subtly as possible, where she's not like being like, oh my god, and making a big deal about it, that's better. But I think it still counts as paying attention to it and almost interacting. But I really feel like with this kind of activity, it is good to document the little things when it's just noises and weird things you're experiencing. So I feel like it almost negates the don't acknowledge it rule, but then again, it like could bring more of it in the meantime. So it's kind of a tough situation, but it just feels like this specific situation is kind of important to be recorded and documented, at least for her sake. Not that she has to share them all with us, but I feel like if I were in this specific situation, I'd be taking videos too. Our next TikToks by the user Mr. List Paranormal. And the caption of this video is, "This is incredible. For the very first time in history, poltergeist activity was captured on an SLS camera." Now I have lots of thoughts. If this is authentic, it is very cool, but I do think there is a possibility that either this is paranormal activity that was caught on camera and someone could have edited in an SLS camera type feature to essentially show the spirits doing it and claim that it was caught on an SLS camera. And then there's also the possibility that this is not even paranormal activity at all. It's just someone faking paranormal activity for the video and then editing an SLS camera feature over the top of it. Now, I don't know the validity of this creator whatsoever. Never heard of him before. Just stumbled across this on TikTok. But I don't know, I feel like all three are viable options. It certainly could be real. I do think saying that is the first time in history that it's been captured on an SLS camera, I find that hard to believe. I mean, the amount of times like Zach Bagans himself has used an SLS camera alone, not to mention all of the other bajillions of ghost hunters out there with access to one, I find it hard to believe this is the first time in history, so I think that's a bit of a dramatic touch there. Oh, the dramatic wording could make it lean a little bit more towards the less authentic side. I don't know. I really do think that all three options of this are completely possible. It could be real, 100%, but it also could be faked in a couple different capacities. I think it's really interesting to watch nonetheless, just to kind of see the ghosts do the activity, even if it isn't real. I do specifically think the figure messing with the door handle is really funny to watch. But again, obviously that one would be the easiest to fake, just someone on the other side of the door turning the handle. But I think that's my favorite part of this video. And I don't know, I'd be kind of bummed if it wasn't real, but I know that that is a possibility as well. So let me know what you guys think. I think I'm kind of split between it being real and fake. Yeah, it's either all real, half real, or all fake. I just don't know which one I think it is. So let me know what you think. Our next TikTok is for the user Miss Ashley Michelle, who shows us a ghost that was captured in one of her childhood photos.
There is a ghost in this picture of me when I was a little girl. Honestly, there's already been a handful of spirits that have been captured of me growing up and everything, but I just noticed this one and it looks creepy. It looks like there's a spirit of the man just looking right at me. I have to show you so you can let me know what you think. Okay, first let's take a look at the photo. So here I am at my friend's birthday party. I am right here. Go ahead and take a look at this photo. And look at the year. It says 1998. Isn't that wild? I feel so old. All right, now let's zoom in next to me. Okay, so I'm actually freaking out a little bit because sometimes I can't see it. I will look at this picture and be like, okay, I really don't think I see anything, but I really do. You cannot tell me that that is not an eye. That is a legit eye. It looks like a man. It looks like this kind of like he's facing towards the side of me. There is a legit eye here. With an eyebrow and hair. Are you kidding me? I have always said there is a spirit of a man attached to me, but kind of getting proof like this, like what? Like no one can tell me that that's not an eye. Like that is someone's face right here, and it's not a kid's face. It is like a man's face. Please let me know what you think in the comments, because this is crazy.
I don't see it. I am trying my hardest to see it, but I can't. I understand like kind of where she's coming from. I can see the blur that she's talking about, but I can't visualize that being a man. Okay, hold on. As soon as I said that, it just clicked. I see it. I just stared at this photo for 20 minutes and could not see it. And then as soon as I told you guys I couldn't see it, it clicked. All right, I see it. He looks a little cartoony though. Like, at least his eye does. Like, I feel like it looks like one of the options to give your me on a Wii. The one where it's like just the black dot and then the like curvy line over the top. That's what it looks like to me. I don't know why it looks so cartoony, but I see it. And it's really interesting if she says that she believes that she has a man that's attached to her. Maybe this could be it. I'd be curious to know if he resembles anyone she's known, like a past family member, or maybe she didn't know them, like they were gone before she was born, a great-grandpa or something like that. I'd be really curious to see if there are any similarities between people she's related to, because I think it'd be a little weird if there's just a random man following her around, ghost or not. Yeah, now I see it. I think that is really interesting, especially the fact that she knows that to begin with and keeps coming back to it. Obviously, it's something she believes in very heavily, so yeah, I don't know. I really wish we knew who he was or why he was there. The next 10 videos are by the user Tara Rule. I am going to break these up kind of in little groupings to debrief. So we will watch the first 4 and then I'll pop in to talk about those, but they're all correlated about her haunted home growing up and her now haunted apartment and the occurrences she has experienced in both.
I'm going to tell you a ghost story. It's a true ghost story. And I believe that whatever it is has followed me here. And I think that because of this all over my windows. Now this is a new place, 2nd floor. As you can see, I'm on the 2nd floor. And this is on the outside of the window. First, I'm going to tell you a story that you're probably not going to believe, and I really don't care if you do or don't. Last night, I saw my friend Laura. She has been my friend since we were in 1st grade. We hadn't seen each other in like 5 years, but we always run into each other at some point. And she was like, hey, do you remember the CDs in your old house? Which got us reminiscing. Now, Laura was not somebody who believed in ghosts or anything, but the house I grew up in was extremely, I'll say paranormally charged. I don't know if it's ghosts. I don't know what it is because I don't even know what I believe in, but things defied physics there. And there was one day in particular, we were hanging out in my room. I think we were in like 7th grade or something. And it was just like a regular sized bedroom. And I had one of those CD racks. So it was just like CDs. And it took up like most of the wall. And we were just hanging out. It was the middle of the day. And the CDs flew, I'm not joking, flew across the room and hit the wall behind me. Now my mom's in the other room, so she starts freaking out because she's like yelling. She's like, what are you girls doing? Blah, blah, blah. And Laura's petrified and I'm petrified. And I tell my mom, and my mom's like, oh, okay. My mom just immediately believes me, which was insane to me because I was like, you just believe that they flew across the room and hit the wall? And she's like, yeah, I've seen stuff like that happen when I was a kid, so I believe you. Oh, okay. Now we're going to fast forward to my senior year of high school. I was at Laura's house and I had a cell phone, and my mom called me and we were just shooting the shit or whatever. And the line went dead. No big deal. So she calls me back like a minute or two later and she's pissed, like pissed. And she's like, what do you think you're doing? And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, get home now. Like, that's not funny. And I was like, what's not funny? She's like, don't mock me. Get home now. That's totally unacceptable. What's wrong with you? I didn't raise you to speak to me this way. And I'm confused. I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, you're trying to show off in front of your friend. And I'm like, I literally don't know what you're talking about. So anyway, I told Laura, I was like, I gotta go. My mom was like pissed at me. So I get home and my mom is super mad at me. And I'm trying to like pry out of her. Like, eventually she could kind of tell that I really didn't seem to know what she was talking about. So she was like, okay, well, blah, blah. So I showed her my phone and like when the call ended. And she was like, that's so weird. Because she said that when she was talking to me, I started like copying everything she said. So she was like, so what are you girls doing? So what are you girls doing? Are you mocking me? Are you mocking me? But she said it sounded like me. Now, mind you, I'm not on the phone. Do I believe my mom? Like, yeah, because I trust her and she has no reason to lie, but like, it was also kind of unbelievable. And she kind of did and didn't believe me at the same time. So it was one of those things where we were just kind of like, okay, right, moved on. The following day happens. Me and my mom are at home. Now my stepdad, very loud man, big, loud man. We had a dog named Sammy at the time. She was a big, loud dog. So we hear the front door open. And mind you, it's a 1-story ranch house, very small. So we can hear everything that goes on in the house. We hear door open, loud boot stomping, the, things that dads do, right? We hear him walk through the house and then Sammy, come on. At the back door, we hear Sammy get up and walk to the back door. And then we hear her sitting there. And we hear like, and stuff. So we're like, what? We didn't hear the back door open. So we go out. Sammy's sitting at the back door like, is somebody going to let me out? And my stepdad's nowhere to be found. So we look in the backyard. We're like looking, nowhere to be found. So we let Sammy out. and we realize my stepdad's truck is not in the driveway. So my mom calls his cell phone, and he's like, hey wife, what's up? And she's like, what do you mean what's up? Where did you just go? And he's like, I'm at Home Depot. Now mind you, we live in the middle of the country, so like Home Depot was like 25 minutes away. And I was like, what do you mean you're at Home Depot? He's like, oh, I'm just getting some blah blah blah, like he's a construction worker. And he was like, why, what's going on? And she's like, get home now, get home now. So now all of a sudden, me and my mom believe each other fully about what happened on the phone the day before. My stepdad comes home and he thinks we're fucking with him. Like, he's not having it. He doesn't think it's funny. He thinks it's like really weird. He thinks like we're kind of like conspiring against him. Like, he doesn't know why we're doing this. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, he thinks this is some kind of fucked up, weird, sick joke. And he gets really, really pissed at me and my mom. Like, it ended up in like a big argument between my mom and my stepdad where I honestly thought they were going to break up. It was really bad. It's the following day. My stepdad is home. I'm home. My mom is home. I had a swing that was out in my front yard. I would like swing on it. Me and my mom are just talking out in the front yard. And my stepdad comes outside. And he looks like... I don't really know how to describe it because I don't feel like I've really seen my stepdad scared ever. Like, maybe like once or twice when I was super sick. But like, I've never really actually seen the guy scared. He's like they say in movies, like white as a ghost. Like, he looks like he just saw a ghost. He has the house phone in his hand. And he's just like, we're like, what? And he hands the phone to my mom. My mom was like, hello? And she like, and I'm like, what? What? And they're both looking at me like horrified, right? And I'm like, what? And I was like, what's going on? What did they say? And I'm like, Mom, who was it? And like, she doesn't want to give me the phone. I'm like, Mom, just give me the phone. So I'm like, hello. And I hear like, I don't even know how to describe it. Like, and then the loudest screaming I've ever heard in my life, where it was like crackling the phone. But it sounded like multiple different, I'm like shaky. It was so scary. Okay. It was like multiple voices, like at once. And they sounded like demonic or something. It was really like so loud and scary. And so I just like, I don't remember if I hung up the phone or I just handed it back to my mom, but I was like really fucking scared because it was like the scariest thing I've ever heard. And I was like to my stepdad, like, did you hear that? And he was like, yeah, that was you. And I was like, what? Him and my mom both heard me talking, but I'm right in front of them not saying anything, right? So they didn't hear the scream, they heard me, which is why they were looking at me like, what the fuck, right? So we go in the house, my mom had to call her ID. The house phone was calling itself when I called. So then my mom was doing some witchy stuff at the time. What came first, the chicken or the egg? Who am I to say? But she does a little whatever, tries to get this whatever thing to go away. And it did for a while. And then that was like over the summer, right? And then we're going to fast forward to like November, because we abruptly moved on Thanksgiving Day because things got so outrageous. So there's a phenomenon that happened when I was younger, like in middle school. I had carpeted floors in my room. And it sounded like and felt like you could hear the vibration on the floor. Like someone was taking handfuls of change and dropping it on the floor right next to my bed as loud as they could and as hard as they could. And I mean, it would wake the whole house up. It was incredibly loud. It was very startling. And it would happen almost every night, very unpredictably. But it just stopped one day. And we all kind of just collectively as a family decided to not try to figure out what was going on there. There were like a number of other creepy things that were happening. Okay. I don't want to be one of these go to part 2 people, but it only lets me go for 10 minutes. So I'm going to have to make a part 2 because the second part is going to be like, probably not as long, but it has to do with the scratches. So bad news, there's new scratches. Again, these are on the outside of the windows and I'm on the 2nd floor. You can tell me what you think it says. I don't know what it says, but it looks like it's like 4 letters maybe. Again, this is on the outside of the window, you can see. Second floor. But I'll show you, these are definitely on the outside of the window because I can wipe and wipe and wipe and they're 100% on the outside. So these are new. These have, correct me if I'm wrong. Okay, just for like reference, right? We had these ones in the kitchen and then we walked this way, I remember, and I was like, and then there's these ones, and I remember those, and I remember those. All of these little smudgy ones, I don't really remember, but I specifically don't think I remember whatever that is. I could be wrong, we'll have to go back. And those like are really intense looking. Look at how you can really tell they're scratches. I don't really remember those. Do you guys remember? You'll have to go back in the videos and let me know. I don't remember those. Oh wow, it almost looks like the screen is scratched now too. The only other like weird-ish thing to note is I've been hearing like loud noises. Am I fucking? That's Jackie. Oh my God, thank God. Well, oh my God, Jackie! I'm sorry, dude. You just scared the holy shit out of me. Part 2 of whatever ghost or paranormal activity has kind of followed me throughout my life. There was one night in particular. This was the night before Thanksgiving. The animals in the house were really restless. All our cats were really restless. The dogs, we had 2 dogs. And the dogs were like barking at the ceiling in the living room. The cats were all restless and meowing and stuff. We didn't get like any sleep. It was just like the animals were so restless all night. And they were really focused on like the ceiling, especially in the living room. And we don't see anything, we don't hear anything, right? But we live in the country, so, you know, we come to the logical conclusion, maybe there's a raccoon in the attic, something setting off the animals. We try our best. Sorry, I'm like so scared the shit out of myself, and I just like heard something weird. Okay. This shit literally still scares me. That's why I don't talk about it. We go to sleep, whatever. My stepdad gets up super early, like before the sun comes up. Construction worker guy stuff. He goes out, God knows where. I don't know where the hell he just would go out early in the morning. I don't know where he went. Maybe like his dad or something for Thanksgiving. I really don't know. But me and my mom are up. And we're sitting at the kitchen table. My mom is facing the living room. I'm facing her. And she's talking to me, and she like over my shoulder, right? Which of course scares the shit out of me. And I'm like, what? Because I'm not seeing anything, right? And she's like, oh my God. And I'm like, what? And she's like horrified. And she's like looking up at the ceiling. And I'm like, what? And I like look up and I don't see it. I'm like, what? Because I'm looking like above me. And she goes, what the? And I was like, what? So she walks into the living room and she's like looking at the ceiling like this. And I walk into the living room and I look up at the ceiling. There are scratches all over the ceiling. They're weird scratches though. They're like, they almost look like they're etched into the paint. Now this is a fairly new coat of paint. Been up for maybe 6 months or so. The fingers, if it were fingers, it was like 4 fingers. It looked just like this shit. Huge. Going all the way from my bedroom to living room. Stopped at the living room, didn't go down the hall to my parents or nothing. I get like nauseous talking about this. All over the ceiling. And we were just like, what the fuck? So my mom called my stepdad and like, you gotta come home. He comes home. We show him. And he was just like, first of all, he was pissed off, right? He was irritated because he had like just painted the ceiling, but he's like, what the fuck is going on with this paint, blah, blah. So he's like looking, and there are areas you just like simply can't get to without, even if you had a ladder or something, right? Because my mom had a massive fish tank, right? So even if you were on a ladder, you couldn't like reach, or it was like huge, like 100-gallon fish tank or something, right? Areas above like the big flat screen TVs that were the flat screens back in the days where like the ass of it was like this wide, like places you could not get to on the ceiling. And they were not there before. I mean, there was no way you would have like not noticed this before. And he's like touching it and he's like, it feels like it's burned into the paint. And we're like, what caused it? So he goes up there. He's got giant hands, by the way. My stepdad is a huge guy. They were like this big compared to his fingers, right? He's taking tools. He's doing everything he can to recreate this. And he spends a couple hours. And at the end of the couple hours, he's just like, we need to leave. We need to go now. He was working on a house in another part of town that eventually we were going to move to. And he was like, we need to go. We packed up and left that day. We abruptly moved that day. So I don't like talking about this stuff because in my experience, sometimes when I do, weird things will start happening. So it had been so many years, all right? That's like 15 years ago. More than, 20 years ago. So when I was talking to, I freaked myself out. When I was talking to Laura about it, I told her, I don't like talking about it because of that stuff. I'm on the phone with my stepdad today, right? Now, mind you, he doesn't know I was talking about this shit last night with Laura. And I'm telling him, like, Lady Gaga commented on one of my videos, and he goes, who's there with you? And I was like, what do you mean? He goes, who's there with you? I was like, no one, why? And he's like, who's that guy talking? I'm like, I'm here completely alone. What do you mean? He's like, there's a man talking, like, just as loud as you right now. And I was like, I don't hear anything. And then he said it stopped. He's like, maybe it's like another car driving by, radio or something. I don't know. And so I'm on the phone with my friend Marina earlier, and I'm noticing all the cabinets are open. But Jackie, my cat, likes to open all the cabinets. I'll just show you. And of course, there's like no freaking light in this room yet. Oh God, okay. All right, so I come in. All right, so this was actually just closed a minute ago. But this, again, Jackie could do this. And I'm like this stuff, right? I'm like, Jackie couldn't do that. And it's closed now, but it was open. So I'm talking to Marina and I'm like, yeah, I don't know how she would have gotten there, right? And then I noticed this. And I spin the camera around and I'll show you a screenshot in a second. Now this is actually the screenshot because you can see her in the corner. She was eating. She's going to hate me for putting this picture up. But I was showing her the window and she goes, Tara, that looks just like the shit at your old house. Because she was there. Like, she's been my best friend for my whole life. So I'm going to show you. Now, now I never noticed this before. And normally I would say it's nothing. But again, this is on the outside. Okay, this is not on the inside. And it looks like it's like scratches. Again, I'm on the second floor. You can see there's like a pool down there, right? And it's on these windows. I didn't notice any of this. And it looks exactly the same. Also, Jackie never hides. And she's like, Jackie, come out from under the bed, please. Now, what I really don't like is this above my bed. It's hard to get it to focus on it. But again, it looks like scratches in it. but you can really see, I can't get it to focus, but you can see it's on the other side. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can't, yeah, you can really see how it's like etched, right? Those are my greasy fingerprints. But if I try to wipe those off, it's like, could this be something that happened, I guess, during the installation process and I didn't notice until now? Yeah, maybe. It just looks so creepily the same that it's really kind of freaking me out. For documentation's sake, I don't see it on these windows at all. On these look fine. Yeah, there's nothing on these, so that's good. Those are like only other windows, so. Now again, I'm not saying it's happening again. All I'm saying is the timing is really eerie. Definitely a little creeped out. See, and I have no blinds right now, which is so creepy. Okay. I ended up moving back into that house as an adult, the house that we fled, because the shit got so scary. Yeah, I've got so much, I've just never talked about it online because if someone was telling this story, I would be like, I don't believe you. Like, even if I trusted them with all my heart, I would be like, that, I don't believe you. I don't even believe, like, in my mind, I'm like, it's gotta be, like, a shared hallucination, even though, like, some of the stuff, especially later when I moved back in. Because, like, when I was younger, we didn't have, like, camera phones and shit, right? But, like, I actually set up cameras in my house. Because I thought I was going insane. I thought I needed psychiatric care. But I also wanted to know for sure. So yes, I will share more. God, they're so creepy. I will share more tomorrow. I'll do a part 3 on moving back into the demon house after 5 years of not living in it.
Okay, so that's a lot. I'm sharing these videos in the order that they were posted in, so I know it's like it kind of jumped from the story to the scratches and back to the story, but I feel like it kind of makes sense that way. It seems a little off, and then once you watch them, it makes more sense. I think it's really interesting. Obviously, there had to be way more activity than she's telling us. She can't tell us absolutely everything that happened. That would probably take forever. But I think it's really interesting from the things that we've heard that the ceiling was the last straw and they just immediately had to get out of there. And on all days like Thanksgiving, you'd think that that'd be a busy, chaotic day where you can't afford to like pack up an emergency move because you're about to go see family or something like that. So I think the fact that they took their Thanksgiving to run out of that house and find somewhere else to live is pretty crazy. I do understand though, if her stepdad feels like the scratches were essentially burned into the paint, that the scratches on the ceiling that it's like almost impossible for a person to do to begin with is really crazy, but them being burned in there gives like demonic and is really all the more frightening. So I do understand, but it's like, I don't know, it's just so interesting that like there's been paranormal activity that's caused fights between them. And I think I mean, obviously at this point we can all tell it is something demonic or negative in nature, and I think its goal was to kind of spark controversy between them and maybe bring them apart, so it was kind of like everyone for themselves almost. That's at least my theory from this so far. In her next 4 TikToks, she goes in to explain what happened to the house after they left and then her moving back into it.
The scratches did always kind of look like symbols or like letters to me, but I can never really make anything out. So part 3, we're gonna go into me moving back into the haunted house I grew up in as an adult. 2008, 2009, my family and I move out abruptly on Thanksgiving Day because the activity got so bad. So between the years 2009 or whatever to 2011, I believe it was, my mom and my stepdad rented out the house I grew up in to a friend of my mom's. We'll call her Elizabeth. She belly danced with her, knew her for a long time. I knew her. She was a really nice lady. Elizabeth started to act kind of weird, and this has been like a theme of the house where people will start getting weird in the same ways. Elizabeth, like we'll call her, started to complain to my mom that she would hear footsteps going back and forth on the back porch and hear whistling. She started to do weird things like with the property, like she stopped taking care of the property itself. She started to do things like throw things into the pool and just like let it rot, like items, food, like really, it was really strange. I'm living in an apartment at the time with my then boyfriend near my college. And long story short, the apartment had a lot of issues. The city came in once to do an inspection on something and had to evict everyone pretty much immediately due to imminent structural issues, which incidentally caused the ceiling in my apartment to actually cave in. So it was like a dire, like everyone needs to get out situation. Coincidentally, lucky for me, Elizabeth's lease was up, and my mom had decided a while ago that she wasn't going to renew her lease because she was doing weird things to the property. Okay, so fast forward. My then boyfriend and I move in to my childhood home. And at first everything's fine, cool. And this kind of like marks the start of my health decline. It kind of started at that old apartment, like with a lot of black mold exposure. So throughout this time, my health is going to decline, and throughout that time, my memory is going to get foggier and foggier because of the encephalitis. However, things are okay for a while, and then weird stuff started to happen. Like one night we were listening to a record, and the record stopped and started to like play backwards, which I if I remember correctly, it kind of like actually messed up the record. We couldn't figure out how that happened. I started to have dreams about this thing, this creature, and at the time I didn't know what to categorize it as, so I drew a picture of it. Later, I would come to learn that it looked like something called a Baphomet, which is that like thing, it's got like a human body, it's usually like sitting on a throne, it's got like the fingers like this, the horns, it's got a goat head and like goat legs. So I drew a picture of this thing, and as soon as I showed it to my boyfriend at the time, like we were outside having a fire, and it was already dark out. I don't know how to describe this. Like it looked like it got darker outside. It felt really creepy. All of a sudden we felt like we were being watched. We were hearing footsteps. Again, this place was out in the sticks, it was out in the country. Because I grew up out in the country, I know the sounds of different animals, and whatever this animal, it would have had to be a huge animal, very close to us. It sounded like a bipedal thing, like with 2 feet. I called my mom because she's into all that shit, right? And I'm like, I drew this picture, now we're feeling uncomfortable. She was like, burn it. Now I used the same, it's just like regular notebook paper, right? Regular pen. I actually like scribbled on a few pieces of paper after this and threw it into the fire to see if I could recreate it, and I couldn't. The way this paper burned was weird as hell. Like, you know how a leaf has like the veins in it? It looked like that, like slowly creeping up, like with like embers, right? My boyfriend at the time and I broke up. We had a roommate that stayed after me and him broke up, and there was one night where I heard him screaming in the other room. It was like 3 a.m. I come out. He's like out in the garage at this point, like shaking, smoking, and I'm like, what is going on? He said he saw something at the end of his bed, and he said he was awake. I mean, the guy stayed up all night. He was kind of whatever. He said he saw this thing at the end of his bed, which again, this is my childhood bedroom, right? When I moved back into the house, I moved into my parents' old room. Because the room I grew up in traumatized me. It was terrifying. And he said it was just this big shadow thing, and he was really freaked out. That guy eventually moves out. I start dating this other guy who's like a strict atheist, right? He doesn't believe in any of this crap. One night we're sitting and we hear a screen like rattling, like the screen from the window is like rattling, right? So we go and like, we're looking at it and you can actually like see it vibrating, right? So he goes and stands on the back porch and he's like looking at it, and I'm on the inside looking at it, and he's like, I can't see anything that's causing this to vibrate. And if we touched it, we could feel it, like, you know, it was really loud. Sorry for all the noise, by the way. We ended up going on a long trip, and a mutual friend was staying at my house, babysitting my animals. And she called me one day, like hysterical. She said, I didn't want to say anything to you, because she didn't say anything until like a while later. She was like, but this sounds crazy. I think the house is mad that you're gone. She called me to tell me that she came home from work and she heard the cats meow. Nothing bad happened to the cats, by the way. She heard the cats meowing. Where are the cats? Can't find them. They're in the bathroom, but the door is closed. Odd, right? She's trying to open the door and she can't get it open. She actually had to call her boyfriend. What happened, the cats were in the bathroom. The door was closed. And there were drawers that were like right on the wall when you walk into the bathroom, right? Drawers, which were open. So when she was trying to push open the door, it was hitting the drawers. How can you do that without somebody being inside there? You can't. Like, it's literally impossible. There's no way to climb in and out of the window in there. It's like a tiny little window. That was it for her. She was like, I don't feel comfortable. I haven't felt comfortable for a while. I'm out. Okay, now fast forward again to like 2018-ish, 2019. I had been very, very, very sick for many years. And around that time, I found a treatment that helped me. So, you know, I've got a bit more like memory coming back from that time. Prior to whatever this last time was, the years that I lived in that house again as an adult, creepy things would happen, but it was very transient. And I found the less I paid attention to it, the better. I started to have a lot of difficulty sleeping, sleep paralysis almost every night. And it was very scary. You know, I understand hypnagogic hallucinations, all that stuff. It felt very, it didn't feel good. More than anything, I started to feel very uneasy. Something was, it had never, I don't know how to explain it. My boyfriend at the time did not believe me. I expressed that I would see things, hear things. He didn't believe me. I actually ended up getting cameras and setting them up around my house because I had a recent history of autoimmune encephalitis. And with that comes hallucinations. So I needed to know, is the treatment no longer working? Is this, you know, am I falling into psychosis due to brain inflammation? I need to know this, right? I'm gonna run out of time again. They only let me talk for 10 minutes. So I hate to do this. Go to the next part when I had to basically emergency move out again. Part 2 of part 3. I set up these cameras and they are motion and sound activated. I set them up in almost every room of the house with the exception of the bathrooms and the bedrooms. Or the bedroom that my boyfriend and I at the time slept in. Right after I set up the cameras, which if you've watched any horror movie is a terrible idea. I had this nightmare. The nightmare was me coming out of my old bedroom, my childhood bedroom. It's an old ranch house, right? So it's almost set up like a shotgun house, you know what I mean? Where it's just like one hallway straight through and rooms to the sides. And in the dream, I come out of my bedroom and I see someone in the closet. There's a hallway closet and I see their back kind of like shuffling around the closet, right? And I'm startled because I'm like, who is that? It's clearly not my boyfriend. I, as one does in any horror movie, goes, hello? And what leans out of the closet and looks directly at me is me. But I have this like, this shit gives me, okay, this shit makes me nauseous, okay. So I'm making eye contact with me and I start to like smile, but the smile gets really like exaggerated and like, dude, oh, it's so bad. I shoot up in bed like in a cold sweat, like hyperventilating, right? And I'm like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. I got a ping on the motion sensor and I'm not even, I just deleted it. I didn't want to see what it was. I was too scared. The house was, it had a ton of natural light, almost like this place, right? Very bright. What was strange about this is when this activity started to kick up, it was so dark in there. Like you could have all the lights on and it was like you just couldn't see. And I don't know how to describe it. And other people who weren't like spiritually sensitive would be like, why isn't, I feel like I can't see. It's like fuzzy in here, like staticky looking. It was very odd. I intentionally got cameras that had night vision because of course if something happens at night, I want to see. This sounds straight out of like, it is straight out of Paranormal Activity, the movie. You know, in Paranormal Activity where there was like, before something would happen, there would be that low like rumbling sound. Similar to that. And again, it would be sound activated as well. And sometimes it would be so severe that you would see the camera slightly move because it wasn't like tacked down or anything, right? It was just like one of those little So it would like vibrate with it. Again, I'm in the middle of the country, so I'm not on a busy road, I'm not on a highway. When this would happen, most of the time, more often than not, it would be filming, and all of a sudden it would switch to night vision mode. Still be broad daylight. Sometimes lights were on. Night vision mode. I thought maybe there's something wrong with the camera, so I set them up elsewhere, and it did not do this. Activity seemed to be only in my old bedroom, the hallway, the kitchen, the living room, but it didn't seem to like go down the hallway where like my parents' room was and where my room now was in the office. That seemed to be okay. I was at a friend's house once and I got a ping on the app motion sensor. Now again, I have animals, so like I would say 80% of the time it was one of my cats or something, right? But I would know right away if it wasn't. And I'm watching it, and my friend from like across the room is like, what is that noise? And I was like, it's my camera. She's like, is that talking? And I was like, it sounds like it. It sounded like, and then I see one of my cats walk into frame and is like looking behind the camera like this, like, and I see her puff and screech like something pinched her. And I was like, I need to get home immediately. Like, I felt terrible leaving my animals there. So from that point forward, I was pretty much housebound because I was like, I can't leave my animals here with whatever this thing is. I don't know what it is, but like, do not touch my animals. My boyfriend at the time, I met him at a coffee shop. Like after that, we were living together, and he was like, Tara, I'm really concerned about you. You seem really unwell. It was seriously taking a toll on my mental health, but I was like, you have to believe me. I have videos. And he was just like, Tara, this is like becoming a weird obsession. So I was like, you know what, maybe he's right. I'm going through a lot, my health is not good. I changed the sensitivity on the cameras because I'm like, maybe I'm reading too much into things, maybe these are innocuous things. I turned it way down to like, only if a person walks by, only if it's people talking loudly, not like a rumble here and there, like a cat sneezing. Like, let's turn the sensitivity way down. My ex had a kid. The kid would come over for, visitation on weekends, whatever. And there was one time in particular that we were all outside, walking outside, I should say, and the camera picked something up that was odd to me. I don't know why it picked it up exactly, but my boyfriend and his kid were in the kitchen walking out to the back porch, and he said like something family. I don't remember what it was. And then you hear family. I just about puked. And again, like, he don't want to see this shit. He don't want to hear this shit. Now, if you have any of these cameras, you know that when night vision mode turns on, you can hear it. It like clicks on and then the light turns red because it's infrared. It's filming in infrared. I started to notice that it would do that only when I walked into the room. So one night I am trying to, again, show my boyfriend at the time, like, this is weird. So I do it, and he's watching it live on the phone, right? I'm like, keep the phone and you can see it. And he's like, well, maybe it's something you're wearing. Maybe it's this, maybe it's that. So he goes and walks in and doesn't do it. Maybe it's something you're wearing. He literally put on my clothes to see if it was tripping out the camera for some reason, and it wasn't. He watched the footage again a couple times, and he goes, this is really weird. Look at what the camera's doing to you. Again, not another horror movie reference, but like, in The Ring, where like people started to get distorted, it wasn't to that level. But around me was serious like distortion, like glitchy issues. But my boyfriend at the time, if he was walking next to me or whatever, because we were doing these like tests, it wouldn't do it to him. My boyfriend at the time started to then tell me that God was talking to him, directly to him. He started to get really weird. Really weird. Borderline violent. Actually violent. Like, really strange, really weird shit. The last straw for me, and again, this resulted in an emergency move. Emergency move. The lights were on in the kitchen, because at this point, I'm just leaving all the lights on. I'm petrified, absolutely petrified. Get a ding on the thing, and I'm home. We're both home. Motion detected. So I've got the camera on top of the refrigerator so you can see the whole kitchen. It's a very small area. You can see all the way down the hallway going toward the bedroom I'm currently staying in. And on the wall is one of those big, gaudy, ugly clocks, okay? It was super ugly, but it had a huge glass pane on it. In the reflection of the glass, now mind you, you can see even like in front of the refrigerator, in this very small area you can walk in this tiny house. You see a reflection of something, it looks like human size, walk by the glass. And then you see a shadow, a human-shaped shadow on the wall walking down the hallway, but you don't see any person casting the shadow. And I was like, that's it, we need to go. Not even joking, out of nowhere, the scratches are back. Now the weird thing is, upon moving out, it was only like a few months, you know, I left everything there. My parents own it, right? Me and my best friend at the time go back to get some stuff. And when I tell you this house had decayed to the point it looked like it was abandoned for 40 years. It was insane. I actually made a video there because it looked so crazy. I can actually show you guys how bad it got, but it's like the house died without me in it. I got a million of these stories, so let me know if you want more. I will play you a short video that I made after returning to the house. Again, it was only vacant for like 2 or 3 months when I created this video. It was an attempt to try to like emotionally process all the scary things that happened to me in this house. It was just like a private YouTube video. I didn't really show it to anyone, but I guess you guys are gonna see it now. But note the like state of disrepair. It was literally like the house just fell apart. And you'll see how crazy the weather was. It was a beautiful sunny day. As soon as we pull up, me and my ex-best friend, the weather got nuts. And as far as the footage goes from like the security cameras, I've been too afraid to like look at it because I'm afraid, I'm just superstitious, so. But maybe we'll have to do that at some point. Anyway, here's this weird, creepy video I made. We're already in this deep, so I'm just, okay. I'm not going to look this up and show you screenshots. I don't want this on my computer or on my phone, because in the past when I've dug into this shit, things... Look up the Sacandaga site. S-I-T-E, right? Sacandaga is S-A-C-A-N-D-A-G-A. Keywords are going to be General Electric, government stuff. Like, I think it was I don't know if it's Air Force or something. It's the United States government. A lot of it's going to be redacted, but it's a PDF. Go ahead and read through that. If you've been following me for a while, you may remember the whole saga about the Census Bureau thing. Yeah, that shit was happening during the time I was looking into this stuff. Some Stranger Things shit, okay? You can do your own research. Prior to that, native land. A lot of people, a lot of terrible things happened. Now, my house had 2 houses next to it. The house was built in the 1950s. Old man lived across the street in the farmhouse that was built in like the 1800s. He built 3 houses for his daughters, for his 3 daughters. Built in the 50s, not that old. Nobody died in the house, nothing. But here's something interesting. During the 80s, I believe, General Electric came and knocked on the doors, I guess, and was like, hey, we're trying out this new wall stuff, or like countertop stuff. We'll pay for the renovations to your house if you let us install this new type of material or whatever. I guess my house, whoever occupied my house, agreed to it. That's just another weird little thing. I don't know. Nobody died in the house that I know of. Everyone who has lived in that house has seemingly gone insane, though. I don't know. I never really thought I would talk about any of this publicly, because I truly just kind of like stored this in the back burner of my mind. Like, maybe your perception may not be reality. So just maybe don't talk about it because you sound nuts. But here we are, because I can't help but keep my yapping.
Okay, that video is one of the most unsettling things I've ever seen. I watched it muted because after the first like 30 seconds, I was genuinely like getting scared listening to it. I think she did a wonderful job capturing the vibe of the house, or at least what I am gathering the vibe of the house is from her speaking about it. I really feel the fear and the uncertainty and the darkness inside that house just from this video. Crazy cinematography. But part of me is thinking that the woman who lived there, the mom's friend Elizabeth, I'm wondering if maybe the spirits in the house kind of made her go crazy, and that's why she was acting so bizarre and doing random things. I wonder if maybe that wasn't really her, if it was either her having been in a deluded state because of all the activity, or something acting through her. From the sound of everything that's happening in this house, it really seems like a possibility to me. And I think another thing that's really important to acknowledge here is the fact that her ex-boyfriend is constantly like denying her proof about things and thinking that she's focusing on it too much. When you're going through that, how can you not focus on it? When your house is essentially like dissolving your spirit and like just suffocating you, how can you not focus on it? It's your home. It's not like it's some random place far away where you can kind of shut down, or like where you can kind of shut it out if it's really affecting your mental health that much. It's where she lives. Like, she can't escape this place until she actually moves out of there. And, you know, obviously she wasn't in a place to be able to do so just yet. So kind of shutting her down when she's trying to figure out what's going on in her own home is really weird thing to do. Like, you can't not obsess over something that you have to live with day in and day out. I definitely think it wasn't like a sensitivity issue with the cameras or something. They caught stuff because there was stuff in there, and really a lot of things she's describing on the tapes or on the clips sounds demonic to me. Furthermore though, the fact that she still caught things even when she turned the sensitivity up or down, made it less sensitive, whichever direction that is, tells me everything I need to know. It's not a sensitivity issue. It's there's something in my house that's haunting me kind of an issue. And the way she describes the house being so much more run down after being gone just for a couple months, almost as if the house needs her to stay alive. It's like her saying that it clicked. It made so much sense to me because it does seem like the house feeds on the people who live there. And being vacant, it has no one to feed on, so it feeds on itself. Honestly, this sounds like one of the darkest places or darkest house hauntings we've talked about thus far in any of my videos. The final 2 TikToks from Tara, she tells us that she believes she brought some activity from LA to her parents' new home in New York. And then in the second TikTok, we see a little bit of the activity going on in her LA home.
All right, y'all, interesting update. I heard something in my room last night when I was falling asleep. Now I'm at my parents' house. This is not the same house that I grew up in. This is a completely different house. Don't mind the doorway, it's not done yet. So here's the thing. I constantly look at the ceiling because I'm just like paranoid about seeing scratches on the ceiling. Like, every time I walk into a room, I look at the ceiling for scratches and I never see them, but I just notice them. And this is exactly what it looked like at my old house. Except it was covered. The whole ceiling was covered. So I know some people are probably, you just did that with your fingers. I didn't. You can think that if you want, but I'm definitely creeped out because, again, this is a completely different house. This is the house we moved into because the old house was so haunted. We moved into this one before it was even done. I don't know, but when I tell you that's like exactly what it looked like the last time. Also, maybe worth noting, me and my friends have been going ghost hunting every night out here. I feel like all of upstate New York is haunted, so super weird. I don't know. I did notice that. I didn't say anything because I didn't want to be like, oh, look, the drawer is open now. Because, like, then people would be like, you probably just stopped filming and then opened it yourself. Do you know what I mean? So I'm like, there's no point in mentioning it. But I did notice that because I do keep the drawer closed because I just, like, hear, like, wait, you live in a barn? So I always keep the cabinets closed. I always keep the drawers closed. Like, see? Everything's closed. It looks good. These down here, Jackie will 100% open these. Because, see, you can hit that one, and it'll open really easy. These ones, not so much. This one, kind of. This one doesn't close that good. But, like, this is, like, not going to open on its own. But this is, I did notice was open. This, obviously, is not going to open on its own, yet it did. These don't open on their own. These don't open on their own. These certainly don't. You can hear they, like, click close. I made sure that before I moved in, they all closed properly because I wasn't about to, like, move into a place that didn't have, except I guess those didn't close very good. So yeah, they're all shut. What I also noticed is that, like, I have cabinets in the hallway. Where's Jackie? There she is. I noticed that these will be open a lot. And again, it's got that little crease in it, but you still gotta like, that one you can see was just kind of like, oh, maybe that one doesn't fully close. Okay. These ones do though, so there's no reason for those to open. This one definitely does. This one I don't even think opens at all. I do notice sometimes this is kind of ajar too. Like it was just kind of ajar, but I don't know if it closes all the way either really. Okay, so we can rule this one out because this looks like it does just, yeah, that one doesn't close very well. I've noticed my closet door open a few times, but I also feel like that somehow could be Jackie. I don't know how, but when I love it. Dude, I swear to God, as soon as I stopped filming, I just heard the fucking cabinet open. Why did I stop filming? I swear to God I did. Oh, so now I'm going insane. Let me turn the mini heater off so you can like hear better, because I swear to God, I heard it open. Probably not gonna happen now. Oh my God, again!
Honestly, I think the scratches being so similar makes me think that it all is connected. Maybe something latched onto her and at some point decided to come back to life and make their presence known in her LA apartment. And I feel like maybe talking about it and acknowledging it gave it that much more energy that it followed her back to New York and potentially created those scratch marks on the ceiling. I feel like after a situation like that, it would probably be best for everyone who was in that house to be cleansed, to remove anything that could be attached to them, because I don't see those things just giving up and staying in that house. I for sure could see them attaching themselves to people that they know that they can suck the energy from for years to come. And I think the cabinet thing is really interesting because you can tell she's trying to debunk, like she's honest about cabinets that'll open up on their own and don't close properly. But there are some that you can tell they click in a way that they shouldn't just be opening on their own. I mean, for the most part, cabinets should not be opening on their own unless there is direct damage to them. So I think this is kind of a good picture to get into her daily life with the paranormal activity she experiences. And I think it really could all stem from the house that she grew up in. And like I said before, I think it would be really, really smart for her and her family who lived in that house to be cleansed. The next 3 TikToks are by the user Mel Page, a user I keep coming back to over and over again because she has phenomenal stories about the extremely haunted house she grew up in. And I'm going to share with you 3 more TikToks of her sharing those stories.
So I absolutely agree that this was a mimic. I heard my mom humming and singing a lot, like when she wouldn't even be home. There were times I would be downstairs with the dog watching TV and I would just hear footsteps in her bedroom. I would hear sorting of her closet, and me and my dog would get in the car and we would fucking leave. I sometimes would literally just like go to Starbucks and like sit in my car with my dog for like hours. Or I'd go to the park, or I'd go to the beach. Like I would just find something to do until people were home again, because it just wasn't worth it to be alone. There was this one time when I was like maybe 14, 15, but I'm sleeping and I get woken up by the doorknob of my bedroom door shaking. It's like 9:30, 10 a.m. and I know that nobody's home. Like, I know it. It's like a Monday or a Tuesday. Everybody's out doing their thing. This was my independent study day, so all of my homework and my schoolwork was supposed to be done at home. So I knew I was the only person in the house. I'm paying attention to the sound outside my door, which was where, again, the laundry room was. And I'm hearing like at least 3 different people's feet shifting. Like I'm just hearing walking back and forth. I'm hearing things sounding like they're being picked up, put back down. And I hear a deep mumbling. And it's like someone's talking, but I just cannot make out what they're saying. So I put my ear to the door, okay? And it sounds so close, but it is not clear. Like it's literally right behind the door, but I cannot make out what they're saying at all. It almost sounds like someone talking, but with their mouth closed, if you can imagine what that's like. And then suddenly I hear footsteps right in front of my door. I lock my door, I run to my bed, and I call my sister. It's too real at this point for it to be something paranormal. Like, I'm convinced that someone has broken into the house for real this time. Like, I'm not even thinking that this is like a spiritual thing. I call my sister. She's like, okay, I'm gonna call the police, but I need you to open your door. Fuck no, I'm not opening the door. I'm not opening the door. So we're getting into it, and she's like, I need to know what these people look like, because if they come back, like, we need to know what they look like. She's like, just open the door, and if you see anyone, I want you to start describing to me what they look like. So I'm prepared. Like, I'm prepared to see people, you know? Like, I'm prepared that there's someone who's broken in, or maybe there's like a misunderstanding. I know that we were having some housework done, so I'm assuming, okay, maybe the construction workers are here. Like, maybe something like that's going on. I open the door, and I walk out to the hall, and of course, nobody. I stay on the phone with my sister, and I'm searching the house. I'm like looking around. She asks me, do you want me to call the cops anyway? And I'm like, no, because I know exactly what's going on. I just at this point can't believe how real it's getting, and that at this point it's becoming physical. Like, it's not even just sounds from far away. Like, it's physically getting closer every single day. So at this point, my sister had already gotten married and moved out, and my other sister also moved out. So it was literally just me. This was when I decided to move into my other bedroom, the second bedroom next to my parents. But I waited probably like 2 weeks to move into the other room. That was when I moved into the bedroom next to my parents' bedroom. So I'm kind of backtracking a little bit right now. But maybe about a week later, or later that week, I'm on the phone with my boyfriend. I had a boyfriend at the time. This was before I knew I was gay, and I'm not going to get into logistics because it doesn't matter. But we're on the phone, and it's probably like 10, 11 p.m. I cannot sleep in the dark at this point, like, no matter what. I honestly didn't start sleeping in the dark until I was like maybe 24 or 25. It's like, it's been a thing for me for a long time. So I had a nightlight in the corner of my room, and then I always slept with my blinds open. In the area, there were like street lights, and you could see the moon, and it was really pretty, and you could see a lot of stars. Like, it wasn't super dark in my neighborhood, and I just needed light in my room. So we're on the phone. I have him on speaker. I'm laying on my back, staring up at the ceiling. And the street light outside is casting a shadow in my room, right? If you've ever lived on like the second floor, or even a first story house, but usually the second floor, you know what I'm talking about when the street light is coming into the room. And I'm seeing an outline of a shadow as if someone is standing over my bed. And I'm not talking about like a physical, like, thick shadow. I'm talking about as if somebody floating in front of the street lamp light, and it was reflecting a shadow into my room. And it's probably like 7 feet tall. It's pretty much almost the height of my ceiling. I'm on the phone with my boyfriend, hysterical, okay? He's like, calm down, slow down. What are you trying to tell me right now? Like, bro, I'm trying to fucking tell you that there's fucking something standing over my bed. Like, what do you want me to say? What do you mean tell you? So don't tell me why I did this, but I go under my covers because that's all I can think of doing. Like, I can't move. I can't turn on a light. I can't do anything. I go under my fucking covers like a little kid. Okay, I'm 15. I'm hiding under my blankets. I'm praying out loud. I'm doing all the things that the Christians in my comments love to tell me to do. And I eventually convince myself, okay, I need to come out from under my covers. Come out from under my covers. I look around the room. So now the shadow is standing in front of my door. Okay, next step is I need to turn the light on. So I turn the light on, and obviously the shadow goes away because the light puts light into the room, I close my blinds because fuck that. After that, I never slept with my blinds open ever again, and I still, to this day, these are my curtains, okay? Blackout curtains. I do not sleep with my window open. Never will, never have since. Okay, I'm 30 now. It's been 15 fucking years since I've slept with my window open. I refuse to do it. Something will always be covering my windows. I do not care. You cannot convince me otherwise. Hotels, sleep with my windows closed. My own bedroom, I sleep with my window closed. When I go to my girlfriend's house, close your fucking window. I ain't fucking around. So obviously I did not sleep that night. My boyfriend at the time, bless his soul, stayed on the phone with me literally until the phone hung up for the rest of the night. And this is when I moved into the next bedroom. After a long Zillow search, I was able to find the pictures of the house that we put up when we listed it. And it's worse than I remember. So this was the front of the house. This was the room. Happened with the street light, footsteps outside my door, which caused me to move to the second room. I unfortunately don't have a picture of this room. I had moved out of the house. This was a storage room, and we just didn't list it in the pictures when my mom sold the house. This is when you first walk into the house. This chandelier sometimes would just be swinging. Once you walk through here, this was the living room. Right behind that living room was our kitchen. I haven't gotten to this part of the story yet, but eventually I moved into this bedroom. It literally didn't even have a door, but I didn't fucking care because I just wanted to get out of the upstairs area. And so this was part of the room. I didn't get the rest of the room, but when you walked in, it was like really tall ceilings. Now I'm gonna go ahead and show you the upstairs. So once you go up these stairs, which just looking at this makes me so fucking uneasy. The amount of times I would just hear running footsteps up these stairs just creep me the fuck out. This was the upstairs living room, okay? I fucking hated this room. I literally did not spend probably more than like 2 seconds in this room because I would have to walk up the stairs. So the stairs were like right here, and then I'd have to turn the corner. I would have to pass this room every time to go to my bedroom, which led to this landing. So there were like little stairs here that came up. The laundry room was in here, and then this was the landing, and then to the left here was my bedroom door. Now, to get to my parents' bedroom, you would have to walk this way. So like the stairs were here, and then there was another hallway going that way. Okay, I don't even like that. I don't like looking at this picture. This is where I would hear the activity. So right below this room was the kitchen and the living room with the couches, right? So I'd be sitting on the couches and I would just hear like laps, just like someone running back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Over here to the left was where my parents' closet was, and that is where I hear the shifting of the clothes, right? And I would hear the humming, and I would know that nobody was home. The whole thing just makes me so uneasy just looking at the pictures. I'm gonna have to go outside and like sage myself. But now you have a visual, right? You have a visual. Oh, I forgot to show you my other bedroom. Hold please. This was the bedroom that I moved to after the first bedroom, like after the one with the shadows. This was the other side of the bedroom. This was my sister's room at the end because I moved downstairs, which I haven't got to in the story yet. The right side of the room, and this was the left side. So when I was in this room, my bed was here, and then like my little couch and my reading area was over here. No, because what are the odds that TikTok would connect me to my old neighbors? Well, TikTok just so happened to do its thing and connected me to a girl that lived in the neighborhood next to me, who was best friends with the girl who lived behind me. I cannot make this shit up. The girl who lived behind me, we shared a fence. I vaguely remember her and her brothers, but not like enough to ever have had like a real encounter with her. But I remember the house. I remember they moved out when I was like 12, and that house was constantly for sale or being rented out. Like it had new renters or new owners like probably every other year. Always felt really eerie about that house. I mean, I felt eerie about the whole neighborhood. But come to find out that there was a running rumor in the neighborhood that I didn't know about, that that house was haunted. So it was not just me. So a question we've all had has been officially answered. Now the question, are the people who living in my old house still experiencing the activity?
It's really crazy to me when paranormal activity gets so real that people are convinced a person has just broken into their house, and it's no longer a, oh, this is my normal paranormal activity that you're used to. You're used to hearing weird things. You're used to hearing footsteps or maybe voices, but that it has become so intense that that's not even a thought anymore. It's like, oh my God, call the police. There's someone in my house. I think the fact that it ever gets to that level is frightening. I mean, it's good that it wasn't a person breaking into her house, but also, is it good that a ghost was being that loud and intense that it came across as a human being? I don't know. I don't know which is a better situation. The interesting thing to me though is the house seems like a perfectly normal house in the photos that she showed us. I don't feel anything off at all as she's going through the photos. It looks like a house. There's no weird vibes. Like there is sometimes you see those TikToks of creepy Zillow listings and you just feel weird vibes looking at them. Even the normal rooms in the house just feel off. But I don't really notice anything with this one. And so it's really interesting that there's so much activity going on in this house and apparently the neighborhood too, and nothing's coming through the screen. Which I could be reading too much into this, but could be the entities almost hiding itself, tricking people to move in there to have more victims to mess with. The next TikTok is by user Mr. List Paranormal, the same user who had the SLS ghost video that I showed you earlier in this video. Now this video is more ghost activity caught on camera, but is completely unrelated to the previous one.
This is a video for my manager, who keeps insinuating that I am leaving the lights on at night. For context, I work in an apartment complex. I'm a maintenance guy. I clean the places that people leave behind. And I'm going to show you right now that I am going to turn off the lights as I leave, like a good employee would. Lights are off in here. Lights are already off in the bathroom. Lights are off in the extra bedroom. And this last light right here controls the hall lights, which I will turn off when I leave. I'm not sure what exactly is happening with the electrical in the building. We live in a bad part of town. This place is kind of old. Maybe we need an electrician out here to look for something. But it's not me. And so I want to make the video to prove that it is not me. I'm just gonna... Oh, God. Oh. Excuse me.
Alright, I was on board until he started trying to unlock the door, because it was very clear that he was just pretending to unlock the door. The acting there needs a little bit more work, a lot more work. And then, you know, the thing at the end. Obviously this is just for entertainment purposes, unless they're trying to pass it off as real, but I don't think many people would believe it's real. I did not realize earlier that this TikTok is from the same user as the SLS TikTok guy. And now that I have seen this, I think it kind of solidifies my opinion of the SLS video. Given the fact that this is so totally incredibly fake, I really have to lean towards the SLS video was probably faked as well, unfortunately, because if that would have been real, that would have been very cool. The next 5 TikToks are by the user Jordy Porty. I will again play them all consecutively. In the first TikTok, the caption says, "It's 2012 and the cute little child ghost who tormented your childhood decides to show its cute little self on Google Earth. So much for the cute trend." She shows us this little ghost and then in her next TikToks goes on to tell us the story behind her haunted house.
Okay guys, so I am finally here with that story time. I'm so sorry that it took me so long. I work full-time, I'm a mom, so life is busy during the day and I just don't have time to, you know, be on my phone. I will start off by saying I was not expecting this to blow up the way that it did. I mean, this is insane. I have like 3 videos on my profile. I don't really know how to work TikTok, which would explain. I know I've been getting a lot of comments about a TikTok user that you guys have been wanting to do like a reading on the house. I did not block her. I don't know what's going on with it. I'll try tagging her in this video. Maybe that'll help. But yeah, she's more than welcome to do that if she, you know, I'm actually interested to see it. So, little backstory. Oh my God, I don't even know where to start. I'm not used to this at all. So if it's kind of everywhere, I apologize. I'm not used to doing this at all. I don't know what I'm doing. But so we lived in that house for 16 years. It was built in 1911, so it definitely is a little bit of an older home. My mom growing up really always loved old houses, so it was just normal to us. You know, we didn't grow up in new homes. We always lived in a really old house, and sometimes those old houses come with a little bit more character than what we bargained for, and it just, you know, sorry, that's my dog. It just became a part of life. But yeah, so we lived there for 16 years. It was never anything threatening. It was definitely like creepy, kind of, you know, threw us off. And it wasn't just happening to like me personally. It was happening to like my whole family, my dad, my mom. And if my sister experienced anything, she doesn't talk about it. She's just, you know, she just not into all that. But it happened to family members that would come over. My friends growing up would never even want to stay in our house after like the first couple of times because of the stuff that would happen when they were staying the night. It just really creeped them out. But it was always like really childlike things, like little pranks here and there that really kind of made us feel like it was a child. And my mom actually, and she'll correct me if I'm wrong on this, but I believe my mom was actually talking to the previous homeowners, and the homeowner had asked us, or the previous homeowner had asked my mom if we had seen the little girl yet. And at this point, I think some things were kind of happening, but we hadn't been there very long, so it wasn't like a whole lot. But for starters, if you hear my daughter, I'm sorry, she's might be in there a little fussy in her crib. But so for starters, one of the things that happened to my grandmother had came over to the house, and she was visiting, and it was just her and my mom at the house. And my sister was, I believe, at her real father's house that weekend, and I might have been with some friends. I'm not exactly sure, but I know I wasn't home. And my grandmother was walking into my parents' bedroom, and my mom was in the bathroom, and the door slammed in her face. And she heard laughing behind the door, like a little girl laughing. Like, not like an evil laugh or anything, like, you know, crazy, but like a, you know, I'm playing pranks on you kind of laugh. And she actually got mad, and she was like, Amanda, the girls are playing pranks again. And my mom was like, what are you talking about? Like, they're not home. And my grandma was like, oh, I just had the door slammed in my face, and there's a kid behind the door laughing at me. I can hear her. And my mom was, I don't even like know exactly what she said because I wasn't there, but this is just what I was told that had happened to, you know, my grandma that day. So that was one incident. Another incident is that my little sister has long brown hair. Beautiful. Long brown hair. And again, we were not there. I'm not exactly sure where we were, but I know that we were not home. And my Aunt Kelly had came over to the house, and she was visiting, and she was sitting in the living room. And I think that my mom was either in her bedroom or again in the bathroom doing something. And a girl walks by God, I'm getting chill bumps. A girl walks by my Aunt Kelly, and she only sees like the back of her, and she could see that she had long brown hair. And she was a little girl, and so she thought it was my sister, and she was trying to get her attention, saying, hey, you know, Erica, or blah, 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 and, you know, no response, and the girl just kept walking towards our kitchen. And my mom came out of the bathroom, and my Aunt Kelly was like, yeah, Erica just walked that way. And my mom was like, Erica's not here, and neither is Jordan. What do you mean? And she goes, Amanda, I literally just saw a girl walk past me into your kitchen, and if the girls are not here, then who was that? And they immediately got up, went into the kitchen. She was just gone. Just gone. So that was an incident that happened. My dad also experienced quite a few things, and it actually didn't really have anything to do with the little girl. He saw a man standing in our front yard. My dad's really big into yard work and was out there, you know, blowing leaves and everything out of the driveway, and the leaf blower kept coming unplugged. And about the 5th time he said that he turned around to go plug it back in, there was a man standing in our front yard, like looking directly at him. And he said that he could tell by the way that he was dressed, it was definitely not from this time period. I can't remember if he said that he was wearing like a uniform of some kind, I'm not exactly sure, but I know that he had a dog with him. And he made direct eye contact with my dad, and then started walking towards him. And of course, my dad's been in law enforcement his whole career. Like, my mom and my dad both are in law enforcement, so this really, like, I mean, he kind of went into like protective mode at that point. And but this man, as he was looking at him, just kind of like grazed by him and just kept walking towards like the tree line towards the back of our house and completely disappeared. My dad also saw a little boy in our backyard. We have, in the back of that house, there's actually 2 decent sized little barns that are original to the home. And my dad again was outside doing yard work, and he saw a little boy in the backyard kind of peeping at him behind a barn, from behind the barn. And my dad, you know, went to go check it out, and the little boy was just gone. So, just gone, you know, bye-bye, see you later. So that was another incident that happened to my dad. I also had a few personal experiences as well. They tend to happen when I was at home by myself a lot. And so I would always get really scared being at home by myself. And here I am at like 15, 16 years old, and I don't want to be home by myself because I'm scared. And I would have to babysit like my sister a lot. You know, when my parents worked, their schedules were crazy. So it was, you know, she and I were, it wasn't uncommon for us to be home by ourselves during the day. And several occasions things would happen, and I mean, I would just bolt. I would take her with me, but we would just go to the neighbor's house, and I'd call my dad. And there were several occasions where my dad would have to call, if he wasn't like close to the house working, he'd have to call one of his trooper buddies to come check on the house for us. And of course, nothing was ever there. So, you know, and it was just stuff like that, really, really creepy. Nothing that I ever really felt like anything was like a threat per se, but it was a lot. And I saw a guy standing at the top of our staircase. I don't want to say guy, probably like a young boy, like maybe 12, 13. I saw him and immediately bolted out of the house. I don't even think my mom still believes me on that one, but Mom, if you're watching this, I'm telling the truth. Anyway, and so that happened. I was upstairs cleaning the bathroom one day, mine and my sister's bathroom. We shared a bathroom. It had a double vanity, and I had a bottle of Windex, and I set it on top of the counter, and I literally watched it with my eyes move from one side of the counter completely to the other side by itself. Nobody was touching it. I was just like dumbfounded, and I bolted again out of the house. That was kind of my response, but I'm sorry to do this. I am going to probably have to post a part 2 to this. I hate when people do that, but here we are. At least we have a part 1 now. So yeah, if you want to know more, just hit the follow button, comment down below, and I will do a part 2. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video. I don't know what I'm doing. Okay guys, this is going to be part 2 of that story time regarding the little ghost that I captured on Google Maps, trying to do that really cute trend of where kids or people are posting, you know, finding themselves playing in their front yards growing up as kids, or, you know, their grandparents that may have passed on. I thought it was such a cute trend, so I wanted to try it, and so I go and look at our house, and I found the ghost that haunted my family for 16 years. So anyway, I'm trying to remember where I left off in the previous video. I'm so sorry, but anyway, I'm just gonna go ahead and jump right into it. Going back to like my dad, who had like a couple of different experiences. The man, what was the other one? The little boy. My dad also was home one day doing laundry and folding clothes, and he had gone upstairs to my bedroom to put clothes in my bedroom that he had folded. And I think I had left like one of my stuffed animals or something laying around, I don't know, but regardless, he grabbed it, put it upstairs in my room, and closed the door and went about his day. And about maybe a few minutes later, he went back upstairs because he had forgotten to put something else in my room. And when he opened the door where he had put my stuffed animal, it was completely across my bedroom, sitting on my chair. So my room, I don't know if you guys know much about old houses, but old houses tend to have really big bedrooms. My bedroom had a fireplace in it. It was big enough for like a sitting area. I had like a whole couch, like a whole area in my room that, you know, my friends and I sat and hung out, and then I had like my bed and everything in there too. And so that stuffed animal was sitting on the little couch, but he had put it on my bed. So he picks it up and put it back where he had put it before, and he closed the door. And, you know, a couple minutes went by, and he went back up there, and again it was moved back on my little love seat that I had in my room. And he said okay, and he told me, he said, well, you know, I wanted to test it out. So he put it back where it was, he closed the door, and this time he waited outside the door for less than a minute and opened the door again, and it was moved again to where it was before. And he just said, you know what, keep it there, obviously you want it there, I'm gonna leave it there, and I'm just gonna go about my day. And he closed the door, he just left it where it was, closed the door, and he was so creeped out by it, he didn't want to mess with it anymore. So that was another thing that happened with him. Yeah, between all like the noises, our electric toothbrushes would go off all the time, randomly, like by themselves, and it was just the weirdest thing, as if someone was like playing with them, which is, I feel like that's something like a kid would do because they like the noise or were curious about it. And so that happened quite a few times with our electric toothbrushes. And my friends, when I did have sleepovers with my girlfriends, when they wanted to come over anyway, they were awoken several times throughout the night by noises, things dragging on the floor, like in my bedroom, shadows, stuff like that. And eventually they just kind of stopped staying at my house and I went to their house instead. They didn't really want to stay there anymore. Neither did I. So, I don't, can't really blame them. But yeah. I'm sure that my parents have so many other stories that they didn't really tell us, because at the time we were living in the house, and so my parents definitely, and we were younger, so they didn't want to creep us out, unless it was something that we were personally experiencing, then they really couldn't help that. But I think they tried to limit what we were exposed to. So I'm sure that my mom has plenty of other things that I don't really know about. I will say that, like I said in my first video, my mom loves old houses. So this wasn't the first house that we lived in that was haunted. In fact, this is actually nothing compared to the first house that my parents bought together when I think I was either 5 or 6, and my sister was probably 2. And the stuff in that house that happened was so traumatic that I remember it today as if it happened yesterday. Again, happened to my mom, my dad, and me. I don't know if my sister, I don't even think my sister would even really remember, anything that would have happened to her in that house. But if you guys want to hear about that story time, let me know, because that's going to be a whole nother thing, a whole nother little series. If you actually go on my page, I did another little TikTok trend or whatever. It's the sister to sister thing that was so cute. So I did that trend, and the house that's pictured in those pictures is the house that I'm talking about right now. The stuff that happened in that house was very scary, and I don't really like to talk about it, but if you guys want a story time, I can give you one. Just let me know. This seems to be something that everybody's kind of interested in. So, but yeah, finding that picture of the little ghost standing in our front yard in the house that we lived in for 16 years was just very confirming. Obviously we knew that she was there. He, she, it, they, I don't know, however many there were of them, because like I said, my dad saw other things that weren't the little girl. But it just solidified everything for all of us. I immediately sent the screenshot to my mom at I think it was 11 o'clock when I was just, messing on my phone. And I was like, you'll never believe what I found. And I sent it to her, because normally she would tell me, oh, Jordan, that's not it. But she even was like, yeah. I mean, you can see the head, the little neck and little shoulders. Because at first, I was trying to come up with every realistic thing as to what it could be, and I just have no explanation for it. And yeah, it's just crazy. It's crazy. So, again, wasn't really expecting this to blow up. But yeah, if you want to hear about my, the other house that my parents bought that was extremely haunted, to the point where it was actually scary, let me know. Bye, guys. Alright, hey guys, this is going to be part 3. I'm finally with my mom, so this is my mother.
Finally.
It took us forever. We tried over the weekend, but like I said, there's so much going on, and we didn't really have time to focus on.
We've been busy
on doing it. The holidays are crazy, especially for our family. But yeah, so I'm just going to respond back to this comment. This is part 3, so if you're just now picking up here, please watch part 1 and part 2 first, so that way you're not confused. We're going to talk about the first house that my parents bought. I think, how old was I? 4 or 5? I don't remember. I was little.
Just before kindergarten.
Yeah, so I had touched a little bit on it in my last video about some things that I remember specifically happening to me, but obviously there was a lot more that happened, especially to my mom and my dad. And so I'm going to let my mom kind of talk to you guys about like her direct experiences, and my dad's as well, because I know that he for sure definitely had some things happen to him as well, but he's not about to do this with us, so
No.
But this is my mom, so I'm gonna let her kind of talk to you guys about what we experienced in the house, what we call the house on 4th Street, which sounds like a horror film within itself, to be honest.
No,
But
the house on 4th Street was just our first home, and it was actually my favorite home that we owned. And it was just an interesting house. The guy that owned it before us was a horticulturist, and so he had like all these unique flowers that grew in the yard, and would like have all these showings of flowers that would like bloom at certain times. And so it had like a lot of neat history to it. As far as like the unusual occurrences that happened in the house, like the one thing that happened is I came home from work one morning. It was like 6 a.m, and I came in, and it was at the back door, and we had a deadbolt to the door. Shut the door, locked it. I didn't lock the deadbolt, and I was walking down the hallway. So the house was old, so when you came in through the back door, you were in the kitchen, and you could go to the right, and there was the laundry room, the dining room, and then you could walk into like a hallway. And so it was like a T intersection. So it was a small hallway that walked into a bedroom, and then it was a hallway that went straight, and then there was a bathroom, and then bedrooms at the end. And so I made it like halfway down the hallway, and I heard the door like open and shut. And I was like, that's weird. So I go back, and the door was not locked. So I locked the door back, go back down the hallway, I hear the door open and shut again. I make it back down the hallway, hear the door open and shut again, go back, deadbolt the door, walk back down the hallway, hear it open and shut again. After I deadbolted it, go back, and I say that the deadbolt is unlocked, and I'm like, okay, I'm leaving the deadbolt unlocked. The door is unlocked. I'm not messing with the door again. It's good. Didn't lock the door again, and it was fine. So that was just like one incident. The second incident is we had like a betta fish. And so we kept it in the kitchen. The kitchen was like neat. It was an open concept. It had this bar and like this dark wood, and there were no cabinets. Everything was open except for like the bottom cabinets. They had doors. And so I kept the fish food on the top cabinet. And I would come home in the morning. I worked like a modified DuPont, so I would work 2 weeks day shift, 2 weeks night shift. And 2 weeks night shift, I would come home at 6 a.m, and the fish food would be dumped out, like, not like just spilled over. It would be like somebody had poured it out. And I was like, who the hell is pouring the fish food out? And so I would ask everyone in the house. Well, first I fussed. Like, Jordan, why are you dumping the fish food out? She's like, I'm not dumping the fish food out. I'm like asking everyone, why are you dumping the fish food out? And so then I was like screwed it on tight. Came home the next day, fish food stumped out. And I'm like, what the hell? Why is everyone dumping the fish food out? So,
yeah, I don't think I could even really get the jar open even if I like wanted to.
So, and like I screwed it on so tight one day that I could not even open it myself. And then the fish food stumped out. And then I was like, you know what? Taking the fish food to work with me. So I take the fish food.
Did you really?
I did. So I took the fish food to work with me. The fish food wasn't dumped out, of course, because there was no fish food there. So I was like, okay. So then I had the fish food. I'm like, okay, so I had the fish food, and I had it in the cabinet. So like, it's a U shape. You walk in, and it's like this little section, and it's like bar stools, and it's like the bottom cabinets with the doors, and they're all open, and then you walk around, and it's the stove and the refrigerator. So I had the fish food in with like all the kids stuff, and like they would have no idea that the fish food's there. And I'm like, okay, so here's the fish food. So I come home the next day that I work morning shift, or work night shift, and come home in the morning, and the fish food jumped out, and I'm like, oh my God.
He was watching you, he knew where it was.
I'm like, oh my God. So I tell my husband, something really strange is happening with the fish food. I don't know what's going on, but something is strange is happening.
Yeah,
I don't know what's going on. So fast forward, I'm shopping with my mom, and she buys a pair of black pants.
Oh, I think that's
from Belk.
Yeah.
And set the pants and the bag on the chair by this 16 pane door that goes up the stairs to the attic. And she's getting ready to leave, and she comes back, and the pants are gone. Nobody's there but me and my mom, and the pants are gone. And we're like, where the hell did the pants go? And we're like so confused. Pants are nowhere to be found. So 6 months later, no lie, I come home from work, take my gun belt off. I'm a police officer. So take my gun belt off, set it in the chair, same chair, by the door that goes up to the stairs, go into the kitchen, make a sandwich, whatever, eat lunch, do my thing, there for 45 minutes, go to pick my gun belt up, and I'll be damned if those pants are not under my gun belt. Not in the belt bag that they were in when we bought them, but they're just there under. And I'm like,
yeah,
where do these pants come from? These are the pants that my mom lost.
It makes you wonder, like, where were they? Like, where
damn
it hit, he, I don't know, she, whoever it was, hid them.
So then I bought her a Barbie doll for her birthday, and it had a cat in it that had a litter box. And the cat would use the litter box. And so, like, the hiding place for me, for all their gifts, were upstairs.
And the damn freaking attic.
I still don't know where the Barbie with the litter box is. And
well, maybe we had another kid ghost at the other house. I know there's definitely a grown man there.
Oh, well, then there was a time, we're running out, but then there was a time that my husband was sitting in the living room.
We can do a part 2. Oh, wait, let's do that one in part 2, because that's creepy as hell. I do remember that story.
Well, we never found the Barbie, and then there were the steps on the stairs, and
yeah,
I think she told you about that.
I did. We're going to do a part 2 right fast, and then I'll post them at the same time so you don't have to wait, but yeah, 1 second. Alright guys, sorry about that. We ran out of time, but I wanted to make sure we had enough time to tell this next story about what happened to my dad, where we left off in the living room of our original house off of 4th Street. This is the house that you guys have been waiting to hear about, where we had a little bit more things happen. It was a very active house, and a lot of it was pretty scary for me personally. But yeah, so let's just talk about what happened to Dad that day sitting in the living room of the house.
So, first of all, my ex-husband, who is still a very good friend of mine, we still are very active in each other's lives. We were we were married at the time, and we were sitting in the living room, and he had a recliner in the corner of the living room, and we were talking, and all of a sudden he's like starts looking out of the corner of his eye, and he's like, we're having just a normal conversation about whatever, and I'm like, what are you doing? And he has like this petrified look on his face, and
he was
like,
scared.
Do you see that? Do you see that? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, do you see the man standing in our living room? And so I'm thinking he's joking. I'm like, what are you talking about? And you're like, excuse my language, you're bullshitting me, right? What are you talking about? What man? He's like, and he's like not moving his head.
Mm-mm.
He's looking out the corner of his eye, and he's like, there's a man standing in our living room. He's right there.
Yeah. And that's because he said that anytime he like turned, like he would turn to like look directly at it,
He was
it was
gone.
gone. He was just gone. So he just kept his face straight and
he was like, he's
using his
right there.
peripherals.
Tell me you see him. And I was like, you better tell me that you're joking. And he's like, I'm not joking. There's really somebody standing there.
Yeah. Yeah. That was pretty scary.
Yeah.
Yeah. That definitely scared him for sure. For sure.
Yeah.
I think it would have scared anybody though.
I wasn't a drinking woman then, but I am now. Probably because of that.
Yeah. I know that Dad also said, because I was talking to him a little bit about it yesterday.
Did he say that he would get on here and talk about it?
No, absolutely not. He's not going to do that. But I was talking to him a little bit about it, trying to see if maybe there was stories or things that had happened that I didn't know about. Because, you know, you guys both are pretty good about shielding Erica and I both from a lot of the things that happened in the house, unless we were experiencing it personally, because, you know, there really wasn't anything that you guys could control as far as that goes. But Dad, there was an issue or a situation, so like in the long hallway, my bedroom was at the very end and my sister's was like on the other corner
To the
of
right,
it.
yeah.
To the right. And there was a light switch to the hall light closest to my room, and then there was another light switch closest to your bedroom, completely at the other end of the hallway. And so my sister and I, growing up, we always had to have like the hall light on because we were scared of the dark, and we'd leave our doors open. And so my dad, you know, checked on us to make sure we were asleep, and then, you know, he went to go turn the light off, and he turned the light off, and as he's walking down the hall to their bedroom, the light comes back on.
Yeah, I do remember that.
And he said that he turned around, because initially his first thought was that I had gotten up or my sister had gotten up and we were down at the other end just switching it back on, but there was nobody down there. So he said that he flipped it off again, and like a couple seconds later, it
turned back
on. And then he said the third time that he went to switch it off, he kind of saw like a shadowy figure a little bit, and then it kind of just disappeared. And he said it literally just spooked him so bad he just went to bed and left the light on. He didn't mess with it anymore. And then I talked to him a little bit about. I did tell him about the situation where you and I were home alone. And we heard the footsteps and everything.
Yeah,
I asked Dad, because I eventually came home and checked on the attic space.
Yeah, there's something that sounded like it fell upstairs.
It literally, I remember it sounded like someone had picked something up and just yeeted it across the room.
But there was nothing upstairs that was out of place.
So, well.
What?
According to Dad, he was a little dishonest about that with us.
I don't believe
From what he said last night, I don't know. He told me otherwise. He told me that, because you know, like the furniture and stuff that you had set up.
That was in the bedroom, though.
In the bedroom, yeah. He said that when he went in there, things were kind of like disarrayed, like somebody was like going through stuff. But I don't know. He said that he just never said anything because he didn't want to scare us, but who knows?
Sometimes Scott is a little colorful. Because he likes to, I
don't know. I believe him. The look on his face was kind of solidifying, but
I went upstairs with him when he came home.
Oh, I don't know.
That's why I don't believe
Unless he's talking about another time. Let's talk about another time. I don't know.
Because I went upstairs with him and there was nothing up there. Because the issue was I would store like Tupperware boxes up there with Christmas stuff and like the girls' spring and summer clothes and winter clothes. And what it sounded like was like the Tupperware boxes had like fallen over.
Yeah, it was really, really loud.
Like. It was
I remember
loud.
it being very loud.
And when we went up there was nothing. Yeah. So
I might be talking about another time that I don't know. And I do remember so I have an older brother as well, and sometimes he would watch us, you know, when they were at work and whatnot, we were kids. And I do remember him actually going upstairs with a baseball bat, one time because we just kept hearing sounds upstairs, and obviously, you know, nobody was home other than just us. Of course, it would be completely empty. I mean, I remember he went upstairs with a baseball bat and I was behind him with a broom, like we were gonna do damage to whoever was up there with that. But anyway, maybe the bat, not the broom. I think I just wanted to feel kind of important. But yeah, so that happened. So just really weird stuff. Was there anything else that
I don't know. It wasn't a lot. We only lived in that house for like 5 years.
Yeah,
so.
thank God. And that's probably
I mean, like
why.
my mom would smell like cigarette smoke.
I was gonna ask
stuff.
because she stayed upstairs
Yeah,
in that
mom.
mother-in-law suite, and I meant to ask her on Saturday. If
Yeah,
anything
my
ever happened.
mom like heard stuff and like experienced stuff, and she would like smell cigarette smoke, and none of us smoked, and she would be the one to like talk about that because I was at work at night, and she was the one, and there was one
She
time
watched us a lot.
like Jordan was downstairs and she would have the baby monitor on so she could hear Jordan in her room. And there was one time that she heard something in Jordan's room, and Jordan woke up and was like, Mimi, I need you to come get me. And Mimi went down there, and she was like, somebody was in my room, and my mom had heard something in Jordan's room, and then she smelled cigarette smoke. It was and
really
I don't
scary.
know the gist of it because I wasn't there. That was just like a brief synopsis of what was told to me.
Yeah,
So
it was really scary.
I wasn't there.
I think that was that time when, because she had heard like a, what did you say, it was like a swooshing sound?
Yeah,
like
it
someone
was
like
weird.
walking like really.
I cannot believe we have talked like 20 minutes on this. This was our Christmas Eve party. Cheers. I know. We've been telling you that we were going to do this.
Yeah, and we finally got around to it.
Yeah.
So,
And it just took some Jack Daniels and some Sugar Plum Fairy juice to get it going. But
I have not been drinking, so.
She really hasn't been drinking.
No.
But I don't like to talk about it because it's really...
It was traumatic. It really was.
Really something that especially the house on 43 is really like some stuff I really don't like to think about or talk about.
Oh, wait. No. So the house on 43, we have 1 more minute left. I'm going to get her to touch on one more thing. The house on 43, the metal piece above the staircase.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So we're gonna backtrack and go to the house on 43 just for a second.
Stop talking. I have less than a minute. It was a candle topper. It was metal. Excuse my jello shot finger. It was a metal piece that went on top of the candle. I had it hanging on the stairs, and I was sitting in the recliner, and I heard it like rambling against the wall.
Rattling.
Not
Rattling.
rambling, like talking, whatever. And I looked up, and it like came off the wall and like fell on the floor. And I was done. I was like ready to burn the whole damn house down. But I didn't. We stayed there.
We sold the house.
Yeah, like 10 years later.
Yeah, hopefully,
well.
hopefully the current owners don't come across my TikTok page. Fingers
It happened
crossed.
though. It really did.
Yeah, it was
No
really
lies.
scary. But if you guys have any questions or anything, feel free to comment down below and we'll answer anything you've got questions. And we are out. So, bye.
I love that she brought in her mom to back up her stories and share her own. Also, I love their accents. It's like really satisfying to listen to. As she said in I think the first video, it doesn't seem like it was threatening. It doesn't seem dangerous, but it's still creepy when those things are happening to you. And also can be frustrating when things are going missing and you're being startled and or briefly feeling uncomfortable in your house. Like, it could be a really frustrating thing, even if it's not imminent danger or totally frightening. It really does seem to me like the way she described it, and then the fact that her aunt saw it, that it seems to be like a little girl ghost that's kind of just messing around and messing with people. I guess kind of like a trickster spirit. I mean, these are some really good stories. They have so many of them. And it's all just like little things here and there. I think the fish food thing is hilarious. I mean, it's so funny. It's just like dumping fish food out on the ground just for fun. It definitely does seem like a trickster little spirit that just wants to have fun. I guess annoy people and kind of freak them out a little bit. Which I guess if you're a ghost, like, why wouldn't you want to do that? I think that'd be kind of fun. A good way to kill time. Yeah, I mean, such fascinating stories. And the fact that there's so many little ones here and there, I think makes this even better. Our next TikTok spookies are X Paranormal Playground X, who shows us a little investigation of a haunted Raggedy Ann doll.
I saw your orb again. Oh, hi. Said hi, Hannah. That's my name. Can you move the K2 meter? I saw your orb. Wow, it's literally right in front of the camera. Did you give me nightmares last night? The voice? Did I like the voice where you said, come here and die? That was horrifying. Whoa! Oh my god. Can you show me you're here with one of the tools? Good job with the K2 meter. Can you put your hand over that red dot? Good job. I just heard banging. Was that you? Good job with the tools. I just saw your orb. Again, twice.
Now, if you guys don't know this, I hope you do know this, but the original Annabelle doll, the one that the movies and everything are based on, the one that like actually exists in real life, is a Raggedy Ann doll. The doll that's like a porcelain doll with the braids that you see in the movies, that's the Hollywood Annabelle. Like, that's just, I mean, Raggedy Ann dolls, aside from the fact that Annabelle was one, aren't scary. So I think they created, you know, Annabelle, so it would be inherently scary, which I agree that she does look incredibly creepy. But yeah, the porcelain doll, that's not what Annabelle looked like. She was, or is, a Raggedy Ann doll. Obviously, this doll in the video is not Annabelle. It is just a generic haunted Raggedy Ann doll. Apparently there's multiple of them. But I had one as a child growing up. Actually, when my maternal grandmother passed away when I was in 3rd grade, I gave her my Raggedy Ann doll to be buried with her. So she has my little Raggedy Ann doll to keep her company forever, I guess. But I do have fond memories of Raggedy Ann just because I had that doll, and you know, giving it to my grandma, it felt like she'd always have a piece of me with her. So I don't find them scary in the slightest. And I actually do kind of have a hard time finding Annabelle herself scary because I don't see Raggedy Ann dolls as scary. So it's like there is kind of a, like they're a little bit tainted because of the whole Annabelle thing, but I personally don't find them scary at all. I think they're actually really cute, and for some reason now looking at this video, I kind of want to get one for myself again. Actually, I really think I might. Don't be surprised if like in a couple weeks there's a Raggedy Ann doll sitting on the back of my shelf here. Personally, I think she's kind of cutie patootie, but in this video, she's a little scary. It sounds like a child spirit talking in some of the voices over the spirit box, but saying the scariest things like strangle in just a pleasantly kitty voice. And then the clip where Annabelle's like sitting on the chair like this, I can't decide whether it's hilarious or ominous, but I definitely think this specific Raggedy Ann has some creepy vibes coming off of her. But as a whole, I think they're just really judged negatively because of the whole Annabelle thing. But I think this is so interesting, the way she's like constantly dropping things and falling and is just unstable. Normally when you put a doll in a chair, it stays there. But there's obviously something that is moving it. Something that's not keeping it in place. And I don't know, there for sure is a spirit of something in this doll. I really love these videos. I included a couple of her other TikToks in a previous video of mine because I love watching people investigate these like dolls and hearing what they have to say. It's like giving a voice to the voiceless in paranormal terms. Yeah, I am inspired to get myself a Raggedy Ann doll now. Our final TikTok of the video is by the user Hey Hey Officials, and she shows us creepy things in her haunted 1930s home. For those of you listening, I will be reading out the text that is on the screen. Creepy things in my haunted 1930s home. The plate we found behind a false panel in our kitchen cabinet dates back to the 1800s. The photo we found in the wall of our hall closet. People on TikTok say he's a serial killer in the photo. My antique camera collection. These are a few of them, still full of film from the original owners. The old suitcase we found in the rubble of the garage still had her possessions in it when we found it. Our creepy attic that sounds like somebody is walking in there. People on TikTok think we have squatters. Our creepy doorbell that likes to ding. Our dogs hate this hallway. Let me know if you guys know who the supposed serial killer in this photo is. Obviously, it's not like 100% that it is one, but let me know who you think it is. When I look at it, I think it resembles Dennis Rader, the BTK killer. I could be completely wrong, but to me, that's who I think it looks like. And depending on where this house was located, it could be a possibility. That plate that they found is stunning. If I saw it at a thrift store, I would not hesitate to buy that. Like, it is beautiful. I would love to have that plate in my home. You know what I think is really interesting? You guys see this background here, which is like my spooky area. My house looks nothing like this. This is my spooky corner where I film videos and hang out when I'm feeling spooky. But the rest of my house is like the vibe of that plate. It's like floral cottagecore, kind of. That vintage furniture. This corner is where all the spook goes and where I hang out when I'm in a spooky mood. But the rest of my house is like cozy cottagecore. That plate is just stunning though. Also, I would love to see the film that's in those cameras. I mean, if it's been that long, it might be deteriorated and not be able to be developed at this point. But if it is, I would love to see the film in those cameras. I mean, who knows what you could find? I think it would be so cool to find a vintage camera and develop the film and see like the photos that some stranger took. Like, I don't know, I feel like it's like peering into someone's life through their eyes, essentially. I for sure would be developing that film if it was possible to do so still. But either way, I would love to have a vintage camera collection as well. I love old stuff. Old stuff is the coolest, way better than new stuff most of the time. And then the attic, the fact that she says that people think there's squatters up there, I'm sure she's probably checked and can confirm that there's not. But that reminds me, there's a lady whose house was so haunted, and she was so used to hearing weird noises and stuff, that she didn't realize she had a squatter because she thought all of his noises were just ghosts. Like, that's insane. So I understand why people are pointing that out, but I would assume she's checked at this point. But also, if you hear people walking around up there, that would be so scary. That's like my childhood fears coming to life. I don't know, I'm so fascinated with old homes like this, like haunted homes. I personally don't think I could live in one of these old homes because of the fact that the majority of them are haunted, and I personally don't want to deal with them, but they're so beautiful. Like, I wish homes were still built the same way that they were back then. I love seeing videos like this where people take us into their houses from the early 1900s, the 1800s. I just love to look back at history like that. But that is it for today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know which TikTok was your favorite. Let me know your thoughts on any of them. As always, feel free to tag me in any TikToks you come across that you would like to see me feature in a future video. My TikTok link is down below. My username is @theAbbeyStromeyer. While you're at it, please follow my TikTok and my Instagram because I do special effects makeup over on those platforms. I think if you guys like these videos, you will enjoy what I post over there as well. especially with spooky season approaching. If you guys like this video, please be sure to give it a big thumbs up. I will pop a couple suggestions on the screen for you to watch next. Please click the subscribe button down below and turn on post notifications so you never miss a video. I post every Sunday and most Wednesdays at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 4 p.m. Central Time. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time. Bye.